Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 171 of the Salvaggio and Cratty Sports Podcast. Here for you again on a Thursday night, December 14th, for anybody waiting for the Christmas movie drafts at some point. Didn't really think ahead. That was just a spur of the moment thing last week. That'll be next week, as it's more timely with Christmas. But we had a big show, typical stuff with the NFL and the Patriots. Some Bruins, been a little bit up and down for them, and the Shohei news and other MLB stuff. But before we get into it, Ryan, as always, how are you feeling on this Thursday night?
I'm doing okay. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
That's good.
I suppose. You know, as I told you, lost Josh Jacobs and Keenan Allen, and we could first round of playoffs, so that's pretty sick.
Not good.
Um,
Who are your backup options?
Zay Flowers and Javonte Williams.
Okay,
So
could
not
be
bad,
worse.
but the team is stacked, and I'm going to lose in the first round. Pretty sweet. Studs and duds, Ryan. I defer to you.
Yeah, I changed it up on you at the last second. We had, I think, the same three studs, but I wanted to be a little different because they were with a Patriots win, no less. You and I could not have been more wrong predicting this game or trying to talk about this game last week. We didn't really want to talk about it. It ends up being one of the better games they have played in quite some time, at least one of the better first halves, because things kind of, in Patriots typical fashion, fell apart in the second half. But yeah, I'm gonna give this guy some dues here, some just desserts, or however you want to word it, because he was good in this game. We have not talked highly of Juju Smith-Schuster really at all this season, and we both kind of laughed at the depth chart of the Patriots going into last Thursday's game when we found out the likes of Devontae Parker, Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else on the wide receiver core. Obviously, Stevenson in the running back department were all out. Juju had to step up, and he did. I joked about a revenge game, and he kind of had one. 4 catches, 6 targets, 90 yards, 22.5 on average. His longest was, of course, that 37-yard throw from Zappe that he made a nice adjustment on an underthrown ball by Zappe. So it's Juju Smith-Schuster showing off a little bit of that deep threat value that maybe, he is past him at this point, but he was good in this game. Played 98% of the snaps. He had to play pretty much all of them because, again, I just talked about how just depleted they were at the wide receiver position. He was good in this game, and like I said, I'll give credit where credit's due for at least this week.
Yeah, and it gives a little hope for next season because he is under contract with a better quarterback, maybe some new coaching staff. He'll be better. That'd be great. Kyle Duggar is my number 3 stud. 7 tackles, 3 QB pressures, 2 hurries, 2 quarterback hits, and a half sack allowed. 3 catches for 17 yards on 70% of 70 snaps, which was 100%. As safeties typically do, he was on Pat Freiermuth and held him in check. Just more reason to extend to the man. Give him a blank check.
Yep, absolutely. It's more reason to question of why you haven't done that yet, because he has been one of the better safeties in the league, and I feel like week after week he's putting up, very similar type of stat lines and performances.
Undoubtedly.
All right, on to number 2 for the both of us. It's Mike Onwenu, a flip from last week where he was pretty much taken to town by Khalil Mack. Really not that surprising with how good Khalil Mack has been, as we talked about. But this week didn't get any easier. Had TJ Watt. And Onwenu pretty much owned Watt. Obviously, we don't go into the in-depth analysis of guard and tackle play. So no stats really to back it up. But if you watch the game, I mean, he, of course, looked at, the people that do get paid to watch the film and talk about these guys in depth. Onwenu was great. This is from Tyler Keys on Twitter. He said Michael Onwenu and the Patriots held TJ Watt to just his 3rd game without a sack this season. That's pretty impressive, obviously, knowing what TJ Watt can do on the field. Onwenu was phenomenal. He was a big reason why the offense got out to such a fast start and looked pretty good, and maybe the best it has since the Buffalo game. Maybe you could argue all season with the quarterback change, of course.
Yeah. He was the guy that coming back from injury worried me a little bit. Wasn't 100% like himself. I was like, oh no, is this going to be a season of ups and downs now that he's healthy? Can't get back in the groove, but that has not been the case for Big Mike. Another guy who needs to be extended by the Patriots.
Yeah, that's the common theme of the studs list so far, at least for you. 2 guys that very well should be extended, and again, leave you questioning why haven't they been, because they've been good. Maybe this is a guy, the Patriots, you can take this one again, seeing that we have the same number 1. Maybe a guy they should look to extend or just sign again in the offseason, because this running back was excellent in this game, and he had to be, because again, they were depleted and Ezekiel Elliott stepped up.
Yeah, this was his breakout game. 22 rushes for 68 yards, 7 catches on 8 targets for 72 and a touchdown. Um, as you've noted here, I didn't even notice till the first time I looked at the outline yesterday. His 91.2% of snaps is the second highest by a running back in the Belichick era on the Patriots, which
Mhm.
is kind of crazy. But they had to, no Ramondre and no other good running backs on the team. So, yeah,
None that they trust, because they did bring Kevin Harris
mhm,
up for this game, and I don't think he played
yeah,
a single, or if he did play a snap, I don't remember him being out there, but it seemed like it was Zeke all night long, and he worked. He worked really well.
yeah, that's about it. He was very, very good. For me, I had Zappy and Tavai as honorable mentions in a different week. Zappy's a stud. He played pretty good, honestly. Played with some fire.
That was nice to
Get a
see.
little
Absolutely.
animated. He was 19 for 28, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick, and ran on the ground at 3 times for 13 yards. Yeah, he just looked like a different player. I didn't know if we were ever going to see this type of performance from him. I really would have leaned towards no. And he surprised, I imagine, like everybody. Um, yeah, it was a breath of fresh air, I guess. I wouldn't be saying that if, they were still in comfortable ownership of the second pick. If things were getting dicey there, I'd be a little more upset. But they've got ownership right now. Hopefully, it stays that way for a while, and maybe they get number one. But Jelani Tavai as well, guy's always in the mix. 8 tackles, 6 assisted tackles for 14 combined.
Yeah, another guy that kind of has,
Every
like I
week.
said, with Duggar, very similar stat lines week to week. A lot of tackles, maybe a batted ball here and there, a sack or two, or pressure or two like that. So Tavai's been excellent. It's kind of been a broken record with him this season, which has again been very surprising, as we've talked about before.
Yeah, guy's money.
Absolutely. On to the dud side of things, and maybe again for the first time in quite some time, it was kind of tough to find some duds in this game for the Patriots. Real quick too, I meant to say I debated having Zappy, and I'll get into him a little later. Just because we actually have some takeaways from this game that you can discuss. First half Zappy, I would have put in my studs category, and then second half Zappy, which I don't know if the Patriots just didn't for some reason trust him to throw the ball in the second half, or that was the game plan, just to feed Zeke the entire second half. Second half Zappy was not that great, so I kind of justified it there. Couldn't really have him as a stud because the all around game, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to knock Zappy. It's the best quarterback play we've seen in probably a month and a half at this point.
Since the Bills game,
Since, yeah, I was just
probably.
going to say that whenever the Buffalo game was. But again, it does get a little bit of a knock. That second half was not pretty at times. But sticking with the dud side of things, I almost read your dud because I'm too far down the page. I struggled to find one, so I went with Ty Montgomery. The fact that the guy was released the day after the game, I think, should pretty much tell you what the Patriots thought of him at this point. On offense, he went 1 for 2 for 17 yards, 6 snaps played. Special teams, he had the missed block, which led to the block punt, which led to a Steelers touchdown, and of course the Patriots lead getting diminished a little bit. Ty Montgomery was brought in as a gadget guy, brought in as a special teams guy. I can't remember in the year and a half, however long he's been here, really any big play he has made or anything substantial he's done. I feel like he's just another one of these guys that Bill Belichick sees a special teams tag next to him and says, "Oh, he's a guy that can fill my roster," and then take away a chance from a guy that probably deserves to be on the roster instead. But the Patriots at least made the smart decision again, less than I think 48 hours after the game ended, releasing Ty Montgomery. So at least we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, I think when they signed him in the first place, they just got him at the wrong time. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just everything's just been bad since. Not that he was this world beater before, but
No,
he never
exactly, but
really translated into anything. My presence as a member of the studs and duds community here is to highlight one player that might not stick out as a dud um, amongst the rest. And this week it's Dietrich Wise. Often it's Lawrence Guy. Dietrich Wise has been in this mix before too. Um, one assisted tackle on 34 snaps. That's 49%. Like, guy was watching the game.
that's a little concerning that he played less than. I mean, maybe it was just a scheme thing, but the fact that
Mhm.
he played less than 50% of the snaps, I don't know if maybe the Patriots are seeing something that you're seeing, that his play is diminished, so his role is going to diminish. And that stinks because Dietrich Wise has been pretty dynamite these last couple of years. As a guy, like you said, you don't expect to see on the duds list more so than not, because of just what he brings to the table on a usual basis.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Mm-hmm. sticking with the offensive line here, I think you and I both have the same 1 and 2 duds. We'll do it the exact same way we did the studs. City So was the number 2 dud for the both of us. 2 sacks allowed. Offensive line played pretty well as a whole. Again, when you limit TJ Watt to no sacks, that's pretty good. But So was just not good in this game. He's been pretty good all season. It's one of those things at this point we are kind of just expecting him to bounce back the next week. So not going to spend too much more time on the guard play unless you have anything else to add.
No, just rough game for him.
Fair enough.
I don't worry about it too much.
Mm-hmm. And then the number 1, again, you can take this one, a guy that has found the duds list a little bit recently, and a guy we have been questioning, why is he still here? It's again because the lack of depth at the position. But the number 1 dud for you and I was.
If I can switch back, JC Jackson.
He sucked in this game. He was not good.
Yeah, I'm done with him.
Fair enough. I'll take the little bit of a mixed bag here. Mark Daniels, who we usually get the coverage stats from, he had him for 1 of 3 for 25 yards allowed. The touchdown as well, where he got burnt by Deontay Johnson. Could have been worse if Mitch Trubisky actually threw a half-decent ball. Also, 2 defensive pass interference penalties. 1 negated an interception. NFL Reference, they had coverage stats this week with a little bit of a later game. Our earlier game gave time to kind of put things out there. They had Jackson for 3 of 6 for 57 yards allowed. So either way, was not good. Of course, when the only catch you give up is a 25-yard touchdown, that's not great. Like I said, the 2 defensive pass interferences, the first one on the second one on Freiermuth, in the fourth led to a Steelers touchdown as well. So JC Jackson, he has stunk. And is a guy, again, that we have just been clamoring to get off this team because he is not really providing anything except aggravating performances of late.
Yeah, guys just cooked. There's really nothing more I have to add. I think you summed it up pretty good.
All right, fair enough. Then you kind of alluded to it with your thoughts on his play in your honorable mentions of the studs and duds things. But Bailey Zappi, like you said, pretty good in this game. There was some good, some bad. The first half stats, of course, 14 for 21, 196 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a quarterback rating of 136.1 against the blitz as well was pretty good. 11 for 16 for 144 yards. His 2 touchdown throws to Hunter Henry, I thought were perfectly thrown balls. And the fact they had some zip on them too, which was good to see, instead of, having the Mac Jones kind of just float the ball out there and hope to God it doesn't get picked off. So like you said, to see Zappi do that, play with some tenacity was good to see. On the flip side, though, you have the second half stats of 5 for 7, 44 yards. Now, again, maybe that was just because Zeke was playing so well and they wanted to run the ball more with him. I don't know why you wouldn't trust Zappi in the second half to throw after he had such a good first half, didn't make any mistakes. The interception was not a good pass. Thankfully, it didn't result in anything because Mitch Trubisky is horrible. He might be the worst quarterback in the league, and that's crazy to say with Mac Jones in the NFL. So like you said, you kind of alluded to it, but you take the good and the bad. What's your confidence level in Zappi moving forward? You got to think the Patriots, this is the guy they're going to roll with the rest of the way, unless like an injury happens or something. I think it'd be dumb to go back to Mac as much as I've defended him. But your kind of thoughts on Zappi moving forward, if you had anything that you hadn't already said.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think you're gaining much from playing Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's part of the future anymore. I think that's probably decided.
I'd have to agree. Yep.
Bailey Zappi isn't your long-term starter, but at this point, he played good this week, and you might as well get some value out of that draft pick by giving him some reps. So my stance on him is pretty unchanged, but definitely more confident than I was before. Like, I'm not just fully expecting a dog shit performance. So that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean too. Watching that game, you're like, we didn't really talk about it. We kind of alluded to it last week of like, all right, going into this game, you're probably going to lose. So it's a better draft spot. And then to watch it unfold, like, wow, where's this team been the entire season? Like, and now it's led to people asking, should they have made the move to Zappi sooner? Which I mean, at this point, I don't really care about that. Like,
who cares, dude?
Yeah, exactly. You have a first round quarterback. You're going to play him in Mac Jones. And yeah, maybe you waited a week or two too long. Like, I think after maybe the Germany game is when you probably should have pulled the plug on Mac. Definitely the week after that, after another bad performance. If I'm remembering the schedule correctly, but I'm with you.
What was the game he threw that horrible pick late?
Oh, that
the Colts game? I think that was the Germany.
It was the Colts game because then they obviously had Zappi come in to try to lead the game-winning drive, and he threw a bad pick too. But then there was I can't remember who they played.
PTSD.
Oh, it was the Giants game, right? He played the Giants. No, Zappi played the Giants game. What am I talking about? Whatever game. Again, it doesn't really describe
Mac
anything.
played the Giants game, didn't he?
Did he?
should
See, I
know I
can't
was
remember. They're
there, but
both very
I
similar
kind of
quarterbacks, so they both kind of
I
blend
kind of
together.
blocked that game out of my brain.
You were at that game too, so you should know more
Yeah,
than anybody.
I know. I made myself have a short memory though on
Fair
it
enough.
for obvious reasons. Who
I
played in
think
that
he
game?
might have. Yeah, I think that might have been the
I think
last.
Mac played in that game. Yeah, he
Yeah, I think
did.
he did. You're
12
right.
for 21 for 89 yards and 2 picks.
Yep, that's right.
Like,
But yeah, when you say what was the
God.
game that Mac Jones threw the bad pick late, it doesn't really help
Yeah, it was the
really
Colts game.
describe anything. Um, but yeah, you kind of like we said, you kind of the same thought process on Zappy. Any change on the thought of the Patriots as a whole from this game? Anything change in your mind? Again, the offense looked as good as it has had, and again, probably a couple months at this point, if I'm remembering the Bills game correctly. You got production out of Ezekiel Elliott, who was very good in this game when given a bigger opportunity. As I said, Juju looked pretty good for the first time all season. Hunter Henry got involved. Crazy what happens when you use the tight end position, even though Mike Gesicki didn't get involved at all. So, Hunter Henry may be a guy moving forward for Bailey Zappi to lean a little bit on. The defense as a whole played really well, but again, that's against Mitch Trubisky. A lot of people thought maybe if Kenny Pickett played in this game, the Steelers might have a chance to win it more so than Trubisky. Any change in your thoughts on the Patriots moving forward? Is there maybe a more winnable game on the schedule that you thought? Are you kind of in the same process that I am? Like, all right, flash in the pan type of thing. Still try to
Yeah.
lose as many games as you possibly can.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I am a little more confident, but I'm not gonna outright say they're gonna beat anybody that
Mm-hmm.
I, felt different about previously. Um, Something I wanted to mention is the Malik Cunningham news.
Yeah,
Um,
because that kind of split the locker room. Not split it, but there were some
he
pretty vocal people coming out of the Patriots locker room after that happened.
he was well liked, and of course, Trent Brown is the only one that makes a bitchy comment.
Mm-hmm.
He is the fucking worst, dude. I truly despise Trent Brown. He always
He's
has
not an
to
easy guy to root for, that's for sure.
he always has to make it about himself for some fucking reason all the time. And it's the worst. Everybody else is like hyping the guy up and whatever, wishing him the best. And then you see Trent Brown make a bitchy comment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, retire. Like,
Or just go
if you
away. Like,
retire. Like, does this guy even like football?
mm-hmm. Well, what are your
God,
thoughts
he's
on
the worst.
the getting rid of, or not getting rid of, because obviously the Patriots didn't have a chance when they, again, for whatever reason, decided to put him back on the practice squad. Like at this point, you would think if late in the season, a team's going to need an emergency quarterback to take a chance on him, especially Baltimore, knowing the connection to Lamar Jackson, very similar play styles. Obviously, both played at Louisville, both were teammates. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly. So really, no surprise there. In the end, it is Baltimore that takes him. But you surprised that I kind of, my whole thought process was at this point you're playing with fire, continuing to elevate him and put him back on the practice squad. Someone at this point is going to take a chance on him. I'm glad
Yeah,
somebody
that's it.
did, because I kind of feel like, not to be as bitchy as Trent Brown was, but I feel the same way a little bit. Like this is a guy that obviously got a chance here being undrafted, but jerked around here and there. Lines, practices a wide receiver a lot, doesn't really get to practice a quarterback a whole lot. Now he's going somewhere where he's probably in a better system for his skill set. So I'm happy for the guy to see what he can do, but it kind of comes back to the same thing I talked about with Montgomery earlier. Like Malik Cunningham's a guy you should have been able to put on this roster and kind of keep there for the rest of the season instead of having all these useless special teams guys or a linebacker that again only plays on special team stuff like that. So I was a little ticked off when I saw that he was getting snatched from the practice squad.
Yeah, I don't know. They just don't like a fun football player who can make you or help you get creative.
Yeah,
That
that's the
would
other thing too.
go
It's
against things,
Yeah,
I
that's the other
guess.
thing too. It's like with how bad and inept the offenses looked until this game, like you would have thought this is a guy that you could have drawn. And apparently they had, again, we've heard they've had plays for him, but they just never used him. Like, why not? You saw obviously a guy like not Miles Bryant, who's the corner last year, Marcus Jones, a corner that ends up playing wide receiver for half the season, looked pretty good. You can draw plays up for him, but you couldn't scheme anything up for a guy in Cunningham that again practices the position. Um, we've seen guys like Jacoby Myers, Julian Edelman, the flea flicker plays, throw passes, guys that have played quarterback in the past, but now wide receiver. Like you would have thought this is something the Patriots right up their alley could have figured out. But I'm obviously unable to do so. And again, now you wish him the best of luck in Baltimore and you hope he succeeds there. Cause again, I think he's in a much better position there than he was with the Patriots.
All you had to do was design runs. Like that was really it
That too.
for
Yeah.
him.
Yep.
Bring him in for design runs. Like obviously you don't want to be too repetitive because then it'll just be easier to predict for defenses. But like, they just jerked him around. Like
Mhm.
that's all they did. I'm sure he gained a lot from his time here, as a young
Oh,
player,
for
but
sure.
they jerked him around and it sucked. And
Mhm.
I'm happy for him that he's somewhere else. Um, shall we preview the Chiefs game?
Sure, a Chiefs game that maybe is a little bit more enticing with their struggles of late, and the Patriots, I don't want to say surging, but have looking a little better. Maybe not the blowout that maybe you and I thought this would have been a couple weeks ago.
No, it won't be. The Chiefs are not good. I don't know how many times I mentioned this. The Chiefs are just not very good. Um,
I'm still waiting for the turnaround, but after last week and the
they
constant
probably will,
bitching,
but
I
they're
I don't,
gonna.
I don't
I was
know.
talking with some friends about this slowly before. They're gonna beat the Patriots, and Patrick Mahomes is gonna make some sort of reference to what happened last week, and
Oh,
like
probably they're never gonna get over
some
it.
cringe, horrible speech that he's gonna think is awesome, and Chiefs fans are gonna slurp him for, and it's gonna be so stupid. And like, cool, you beat the Patriots, dude.
Mhm.
Because it's gonna happen, but I think the Patriots will keep it closer than originally anticipated even a month ago. Um, Chiefs are 9.5 point favorites. The over under is 37.5, which is crazy because it's involving the Chiefs, but it's just, that type of balancing act of playing the Patriots.
Mhm.
We know the deal. Pacheco might not play, which is a big thing to monitor, but honestly, they're probably not going to have much of a running game at all if Pacheco doesn't play because Edwards-Helaire is not good, and Jerick McKinnon has only rushed the ball 17 times this year.
Mhm.
So we'll see how that works.
Mhm.
Not expecting explosiveness there. Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice has had a good year, but like really shouldn't scare you that much. Um, and then it's a whole lot of shit, to be
It
honest.
really
Like,
is, yeah.
like Des Bryant made a good point. Like this team didn't want DeAndre Hopkins. Like it's so bizarre.
I'm still surprised they didn't make any sort of move at the trade deadline. Like we talked about that right
Oh
around
yeah,
that time where it's like I wouldn't count the Chiefs out. Why wouldn't you not throw a high draft pick, obviously, but if there's a receiver on the market, just maybe throw a third, fourth round draft pick at somebody if that's enough to get. Um, and maybe they weren't a lot of our receivers in the market at the time, but like you would have thought that would have been something right up their alley to make a move because this, like you said, receiving core is atrocious.
yeah, they suck.
If I were them, like I would just try to force feed Rashee Rice as much as possible. But again, like you said, is
Yeah,
he a guy that at this point in his career is really going to scare you all that much to like double him or anything like that? Probably not.
yeah,
So
no,
it really comes down
shouldn't
to
double
shutting down.
anybody
No, it really comes
besides
down to
Kelsey, of course. That's
exactly that was going
obvious.
to be my point is shutting him down, and the Patriots have done that well in the past. I feel like one of the few teams that, for whatever reason, have been able to figure out Kelsey, and no other team can really replicate that.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm not saying the Patriots are going to win. Don't get me wrong to spoil my prediction here, but like if going into this game, if they can shut down Kelsey, you really got to wonder. And like you said too, if Pacheco doesn't play, where is the offense going to come from Kansas City? Because it's a bunch of crap and one huge idiot that doesn't know how to line up properly. But everyone else, everyone in that
yeah,
organization and fan base will tell you that he was in the right, which is just completely
yeah.
idiotic.
And you could say Sky Moore, but he hasn't really given you much
Yeah,
to
he's on or off.
go
Yep.
off of. Justin Reed, pretty good. Drew Tranquil banged up a little bit lately, pretty good. Brian Cook has had some moments here and there. He's also been a little banged up. Trey McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed are the big difference makers, though. McDuffie, I believe, was drafted by the Chiefs when they traded up with the Patriots for Cole Strange, so that's sick. I will give Cole Strange some credit though; he's been a little better the last few weeks. You can make the case L'Jarius needs the best corner slash safety in the league this year. He's shutting down big name after big name. Um, I don't have the stat on me, but I think it was PFF had a breakdown of his coverage stats against the top receiver in like 10 of his games this year. He's been lights out. Um, he's probably gonna get Juju. Like, I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean. But if
Like,
Demario Douglas comes
does
back,
he
you
require? Does Demario Douglas require that attention coming off an injury? I don't
probably
know.
not. Yeah.
From a pure, elusiveness and skill standpoint, you'd probably put him on Douglas, but Juju back-to-back potential revenge games coming off a good one. Maybe him and Zappy have a connection. I'd imagine it'd be Juju. Um, but yeah, then you got Trent McDuffie too. So either way, for a guy like Douglas, he has his work cut out for him. This could be a tight end game. Maybe a little bit of Brian Cook on Hunter Henry, a little bit of Justin Reed on Hunter Henry. Kind of spitballing a little bit at this point,
Hmm.
outside of the McDuffie and Snead stuff, but you get the drill. Chris Jones, of course, can't go without mentioning him. George Karlaftis has had some moments as well too. He's another first rounder of them recently. Good team, good defense. Defense has become more of a. I shouldn't say good team actually. I should have just said good defense because their offense
Average team.
is unpredictable in a weird way. Not super explosive like we've been used to, but defense has become more of their identity this year. So that's weird.
Hmm.
And honestly, should still scare people in the playoffs because defense is the identity. They're kind of a sleeping giant because people aren't as scared of them as they used to be. And then what if the offense gets going in prime time in the playoffs? Then you're screwed.
Yep.
Um, and in that event, a Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl would be fantastic. Um, Injury report. Just Ramondre Stevenson did not participate for the Patriots as expected. Christian Barmore, Kayshon Boutte, Trent Brown, Demario Douglas, Devontae Parker, and Juju Smith-Schuster were limited. When I was talking about receivers, I forgot about Devontae Parker because he's just that bad at football.
Very forgettable. Yep.
Isaiah Pacheco did not participate. Neither did Donovan Smith, Leo Chenal, or Mike Edwards. Some big names in that list. Mike Edwards was just sick though. So was Chenal. So maybe they'll play, but Donovan Smith and Pacheco are names to monitor. Nick Bolton was limited. Justin Reed, Jared McKinnon, L'Jarius Sneed, a little bit of rhyme there. Kadarius Toney, Drew Tranquil, and Justin Ross were all full participants. Don't think we'll be seeing Justin Ross though. He's got some legal
Probably not.
matters.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that pretty much sums up everything with the Chiefs. If you want to add anything surrounding your prediction, go ahead. But I'll get mine out of the way. I'm going 20-13 Chiefs. Nice basic football score.
It
And a
is.
not super exciting game.
It's a very good score. It's a score that I wanted to pick, but when I opened up the outline and you had it written down, I couldn't pick the
Come
same
on,
score as
man.
you.
You
Yeah,
don't
I
have to
couldn't.
change it up all the time. Go with your heart.
I don't want to fucking make it boring. Yeah, I got the same score as you. Let's
What
move
if what
on.
if it's 20-13? Then you look like an anus.
I do. Well, that's you run the risk you take. Or yeah. I have Chiefs 20, Patriots 16. Like it's a weird game for me because as we talked about, the Chiefs don't have any wide receivers, but the Patriots really have a whole lot of corners that are half decent. So what grouping of the suck is going to be better than the other? It's the Chiefs. They'll find a way to score. Mahomes will probably rush a touchdown or two in. The Patriots at some point are probably going to lose Travis Kelce, so he'll get open for a touchdown, and then we'll have to see him. We'll have to see if Taylor Swift makes the trip to Gillette, which a lot of people seem to think she's going to, from what I've seen on Twitter. We'll have to sit through that. Yeah. Chiefs will find a way to win the game. It's not going to be the blowout that we thought it was, when we first saw the matchup on the schedule. Patriots, as we usually hope for in these type of matchups, just keep it close. Don't get embarrassed. And I think they will do that surprisingly in this one.
But lose.
Don't
Yeah, I'm with
we'll
you.
lose. Yep.
I'm with you. Not going to be a super exciting game. Maybe the Patriots win this one. Wouldn't really be surprised if they did, which is bizarre to say, but that's just where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Week 14, Bucks and Falcons got started off with a decent little game. Rashad White, big game. Almost put him in my touchdown score parlay that missed by one leg again.
Oh,
Thank you,
love to
Gus
see it.
Edwards. I blame the Ravens. I don't blame Gus. Gus has been good to me this year when I bet on him. The Ravens have just ostracized him seemingly lately, and it makes me sad. I'm a Gus guy. Rashad White was very good. Has had some quietly awesome games for the Bucks. Quietly, I say because the Bucks are not super noteworthy these days.
It's the Bucks.
But
The Bucks. Yep.
Drake London, maybe biggest game of his career. Don't have his stats on hand, but he has 172 yards, super quietly.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a little bit of a kicker battle as well. Younghoe Koo has been fluctuating back and forth like the best. What are they saying? The best field goal percentage ever?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It was funny that I think going into that game, because Tucker missed one last week. I think Koo had the all-time record or whatever, or active kicker record, whatever it was, and then proceeded to miss 2 field goals in this game and dropped, I think, right back behind Tucker. So talk about a broadcaster jinx, because they brought it up on the broadcast, I think, a couple of times, which was kind of funny to see. Unless you're a Younghoe Koo and a Falcons fan, then it was not funny for you, because him missing 2 field goals was the difference in this game.
Difference maker, and in a divisional game. That's
absolutely. Yep.
Ravens 31, Rams 37, Rams 31 in OT. QB battle for sure. This is a game with 2 good QBs. You hope for a game like this, and we got it. Matthew Stafford, 23 or 41 for 293 and 3 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 24 or 43, 316, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Doing his usual on the ground, 11 for 70. Not the best completion percentage by any means, but guys making things happen, keeping the game close. Kyron Williams had a great game. So did Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Davis Allen. Nobody is really talking about this guy. That kid
Didn't
impressed
even know
me.
who he was.
Didn't know who he was. He looks good, like legit, like everyday NFL or good potentially. Very small sample size. I looked him up today. He's went to Clemson. For anyone who else who may have been wondering, but he looks good. Like, who is this guy? Maybe the Rams have something. Maybe it's just a flash in the pan. Well, is Higbee banged up or something? Or are they just mixing this guy in? I don't know.
Hey, I think
Demarcus
Higby missed
Robinson
this
got in the
game.
end zone. He was, yeah,
I think
okay.
so, yeah.
OBJ gets in the end zone. Isaiah Likely gets in the end zone. And Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers has been heating up. And one of the moments of the year, Tylan Wallace, a guy who's been forgotten in that receiver core, I believe he was like a 3rd or 4th round pick, decent draft pick a few years ago. I might be mistaken. Comes out of nowhere and wins the game on a kick return touchdown. Unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
it's maybe one of the most electric, maybe the most electric way you can win a game, besides like a walk-off pick 6 or something.
Yeah, they're both up there. Absolutely. I mean, this game, I'm stupidly bet the under in this game because I thought the weather was going to play more into it. Two pretty good, Ravens a really good defense. Rams have been, hot or cold of late. Their offense had been struggling at times, but they look like they've kind of bounced back here. Game that had pretty much everything. You didn't even mention the big defensive performances as well. Akello Witherspoon for the Rams had an interception. Ernest Jones, a sack, a pass defended against, 10 tackles on a quarterback hit. Byron Young as well for the Rams had a sack, a tackle for a loss, and 1 QB hit as well. And then on the Baltimore side of things, Justin Matabuke, a sack, 7 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and 5 quarterback hits. Travis Jones, a sack, a tackle for a loss, and 2 QB hits. And Roquan Smith had the big day as well, with 10 tackles, 2 tackles for losses, and 1 quarterback hit as well. So everything you could have asked for and more from this game. A little bit of defense, a little bit of offense. Like you said, maybe one of the more electric plays in, all of football, the punt return to win it in overtime.
Yeah, and I hope this puts Justin Matabuke on the map a little bit, because he does perform very well kind of quietly, and he's a free agent, potential free agent this summer. I believe he can be tagged. He's very good. He's a disruptive player on the front 7 there for the Ravens, but I imagine they would like to keep him.
You would think.
He's a monster. Kind of gets overshadowed a little bit, I feel like sometimes. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't imagine Ravens fans overshadow him though, because how could you? Roquan Smith, just we know the deal with him too. He's a monster as well. Bears 28, Lions 13. The Lions go 0 for 2 against the Bears in a year like this. The offense is just not where it was about a month or so ago for the Lions, and I'm happy I cashed out my Super Bowl future because I don't know if they're going to return to that early season form.
I was going to ask, what's your thoughts on the Lions at this point? Because they are dropping and dropping quickly.
I'm not going to say very surprising. Let me catch myself there. It surprises me because I thought this was it. Like, they were cooking early on. They were very fun to watch, very explosive. And, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, still make plays. But the offense as a whole, Laporta will make plays. Amon-Ra is reliable, but, it just hasn't connected well enough consistently, I feel like, in comparison to early in the season. The Lions put up a measly 13 points to the Bears. Justin Fields played pretty solid. DJ Moore scored twice. Cairo Santos was money. And their defense showed up in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions, it's been kind of weird of late. I feel like they win a good one, lose a bad one. So it's kind of, that's the big thing for me is I feel like with, why am I drawing a blank on their head coach right now?
Dan Campbell.
Help me out here. Thank you, Dan Campbell. With him, you would think okay, though, I mean, they won last week against the Saints, obviously, but like we just said, have not been playing at the highest level. So you think he's a guy that, they usually bounce back, usually play pretty well when they were struggling. This game, I feel like, was never really close. I mean, the Bears had this, and again, 15 points, nothing crazy. But watching a little bit of this game, it looked like the Bears pretty much had this thing right from the get-go. Like you said, Fields played pretty well, as he did earlier in the year against the Lions too. So maybe it's just the case that he has their number. Like every player, I feel like, has their one team they go off against. Maybe Fields is starting to feast on the Lions a little bit here.
Yeah. I mean,
Good game for him too. For the people that are obviously the Bears could end up with the number 1 overall pick and the number 5, I think, or as it is right now. And I think I saw the other day like a game out of a playoff spot, which is crazy as
Yeah.
well. If the Bears can sneak in here, what a
Yeah, one
season
in
that would
five.
be. Good game for Justin Fields, and a bad game for the people that maybe want the Bears to take a quarterback with the first overall pick if they keep it. Fields showing some ability in this one.
Real quick, I'm not going to get into a draft tangent at this point. I do and I don't feel this way with two potential top 5 picks. I think you'd be kind of crazy to not take Caleb Williams with one of them if you
Really.
have the first pick
See, I was
because
gonna
of
say,
the
why wouldn't
upside.
you trade down and just take Marvin
That's
Harrison
the thing
Jr.?
too. If you're
Get the
good with
wide
the
receiver
trade
for
down,
Fields. Yeah.
like is Arizona going to want to trade up? They made a big trade at the draft last year. Do they want to do it again? They traded for Paris Johnson. I don't know, man. Like maybe
It is a weird spot for the Bears to be in. It really
maybe
is.
they just really like Marvin Harrison, and then they get. I mean, if they get Marvin Harrison and Joe Alt, the
Oh, the
ginormous left tackle from Notre Dame, who's like Slater level offensive tackle prospect.
pretty quick
Maybe
way
you
to
do
fix
that.
your offense potentially.
Yeah, like I don't know, and that rookie contract versus what Fields is eventually going to make, that makes a
True. That's a
difference.
good point. Yep.
I don't know. They're in a conundrum, and at this point, winning might serve them well.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the craziest thing. I obviously would drop a couple, not drop a couple, win a
They
couple
drop a
games,
couple
drop a couple
spots, but
spots.
like
Yeah.
you're not playing really for draft position as much as you thought. So maybe
Hmm.
you try and just make the playoffs this year. Get Fields if he's your guy of the future some playoff experience. Get some of these young guys some playoff experience. I don't know. It's a
Too.
very unique spot.
It is. I was going to say really quick to end it. Too, like if they were to still take the number 1 overall pick and, they wanted a receiver that badly and they ended up drafting Harrison 1, a move like that, as great as he could potentially be, will come back to bite you in the ass. So many people will question that. Why not just trade the pick and then, move on from there? But, yeah, definitely a weird spot for the Bears. Like you said, the fact that they could have 2 top 5 picks and make the playoffs is just absolutely insane and goes to show you how dumb of a team the Panthers continue to be.
I'll say this too. I'm not trading up for a receiver at number 1 either
No.
from any team. I just don't think that's fruitful. Marvin
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Jr. is fantastic, but you can also get
It is
Malik
a
Neighbors.
huge gamble. Yeah.
You can also get Malik Neighbors, who had a better season than Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. So, not a Marvin Harrison Jr. hater, it's just facts, even though Marvin Harrison won the Biletnikoff. And Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. So at least LSU got some hardware. Bengals 34, Colts 14. This is a tough one for the Colts. I mean, the AFC South is just so tight. This is a bad loss. I know Jake Browning has shown something, but like this is a game you could have won. This is
Absolutely.
a game you should have at least kept close, and they didn't.
Yeah, the Colts are a weird team. I mean, maybe the Minshew magic is worn off here. I can't remember what they did last week, if they're coming off another loss or not. But yeah, definitely a game. Like you said, the Bengals have been playing better. Jake Browning has looked pretty damn good these last 2 weeks. But a game if you're the Colts, should have probably been able to go on the road, take care of business if you want to make the playoffs like they obviously do. And a loss that could prove costly down the stretch for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I feel like this is just the
this is
Colts
a
though.
little
Like at this
surprising.
point, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it who'd they lose to a couple years ago when was it not Phillip Rivers? Didn't they lose to somebody horrible the final week of the season? Or not who's the
I
quarterback
don't
I
know.
hate? Carson Wentz. Wasn't it Carson Wentz with the year he was on the Colts? They lost I think Houston when they had like 1 or 2 wins. Was that last 2 years ago, last year, whenever it was?
I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
somebody knows what I'm talking about if you're listening. But just I feel like that's kind of the fashion for the Colts, losing games late in the season that you probably shouldn't be losing.
Yeah. Yeesh. Tough one. Browns 31, Jaguars 27. David Njoku is pretty good. As you've
Those
noted
Evan
here,
Ingram.
it's the tight end matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Two touchdowns from your tight ends. Joe Flacco is good somehow still fumbled, but he's good. Uh, Trevor Lawrence, weird game for him. Pretty good on the surface, but then you look over a little bit and you see those 3 picks, sacked 4 times. Um, Marvin Harrison. I got Marvin Harrison on the mind still. Martin Emerson breakout game for him. I'm not sure he's had a game like this in his young career yet. And Greg Newsome had a pick as well. They had 4 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, 10 pass deflections is insane. 8 tackles for loss, a fumble, and a fumble recovery by Anthony Walker, who wears number 5, which still kind of throws
Very
me off
weird.
when defensive players wear unconventional numbers, but I kind of like it.
Mhm.
I don't like Jadeveon Clowney wearing 24 though. That doesn't work.
That doesn't make
It's
any
like Sky
sense.
Moore.
Yeah.
It's like Sky Moore wearing 24. Doesn't work.
Nope.
Um, it's a pretty good game. I mean, the Browns shouldn't be able to do this
They're
with
scrappy.
their quarterback situation. It just shouldn't work. Flacco shouldn't be doing this right now, but he is.
They're
They also don't have Nick Chubb. They haven't all year. Um, Amari Cooper is not consistently impressive. Neither is Elijah Moore. David Njoku is damn good. Their running game, I think they had 1 touchdown on the ground, but like they're good enough, I
Mhm.
guess, like to keep the ball moving at least.
Yep.
They're not blowing you away, which they don't really. Um, the Browns are weird. They shouldn't be this good, but Joe Flacco is somehow willing them to victory.
They're gonna be one of those teams. I feel like the Steelers do maybe every other year that gets into the playoffs. You're like, why are you here? And they come out and lay like a 6 points or 7 points in a playoff game and get blown out. You're like, what
The
the hell is
Browns
that
or the
all for?
Steelers?
The Browns. Like I
Oh,
feel like they're
really?
like the
I don't
prime example
know.
this year. But
I'm
I mean,
kind of
Joe
the
Flacco's
opposite
been
of the
good, so
Browns.
maybe not. But that was the craziest thing. I could have sworn I saw. Maybe I'm wrong here. I could have sworn I heard on the radio the other day that as soon they reverted him back to their practice squad too, which makes
No,
no
they
sense to
signed him
me.
today.
Did they? Okay, I was
They
gonna say when
reverted
I
him, I
heard
think,
that.
yesterday and signed him today for like he can make up to like 4.05 million in incentives
Okay,
or
good for
something.
Joe Flacco then, coming off the couch and still proving that he can play better than not half the quarterback, but a couple of quarterbacks in this league, which is crazy to think of at age 38, again, coming off the couch 3 or 4 weeks ago. Trevor Lawrence, like you said, I feel like this is just watching a little bit of this game. I said it going into it. I don't know why they played him in the first place because he just did not look 100%. Obviously, wasn't coming off an ankle injury. Um,
Desperation.
yeah, that's what it reeked of too. Good point there. Um, but I don't know, like maybe not because you lost the game anyway. But to me, I thought you would have been able to survive at least 1 week, sitting Lawrence, getting him really healthy, and then try to make obviously a run at the division, a solid spot in the playoffs, and then go from there. But I guess not. And maybe they pay the price with the 3 interceptions that he ends up throwing.
Yeah, he's had. I feel like he's good for a game like this. Like he'll throw a few touchdowns, but match him in interceptions.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yep.
like once a year, maybe twice a year. He's so weird. I'm still not fully sold on him. Ryan, 28-6 Saints. My even having an inkling of the Panthers winning a game thoughts
Don't
are
ever
gone.
don't ever pick them for anything or even think about picking them. They are absolutely
No,
trash.
the Bucks, I was like 70% confident. Um, maybe not 70. But you get the point. I was
Mhm.
more confident than
You're
going to the
very
Saints
high on
game.
it. Yeah.
I had like a 10% confidence rate going to this game. I was like, hey, maybe the Panthers, maybe this is the one. No, they
Yeah.
stink. And Bryce Young stinks.
Bust.
Um, already a bust. It's never been clearer for a number 1
Bust.
pick that I can remember anytime soon. Or recently rather.
How do you
The
play a full
Saints
game and have a
still don't.
quarterback rating of 48?
I don't know, man.
Like, that's horrible. He sucks. Like, it's unbelievable. I didn't mean to cut you off there,
Yeah,
but I just
it's
I, I
so
just
bad.
don't get it.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else in this game. I didn't pay close attention to it really at all.
Neither did I.
So, okay, let's move on.
The only thing really,
Uh,
sorry, really quick, I saw from this game, even though the Saints won, is that Derek Carr continues to piss people off. I don't know which guard or tackle it was, but he was getting screamed at by his guard
oh man, I
or his
wish I
offensive
sent it to
lineman.
you.
Um,
I saw the
in a game they won
funniest meme
28
about
to
him.
6. So that just shows how much, of a leader Derek Carr is, even though he did get his offense a whole lot of nice Christmas gifts I saw today, like watches and
Wish I had
chains
the
and grills and
meme.
stuff.
It was like an old tweet of like something along the lines like, they told you you fell off. They told you you sucked, like something like that. And it was just a
Mhm.
picture of Derek Carr, and then at the bottom it says, they're right.
That's awesome.
I might have said that to you. I don't think I did.
I don't think so
Um,
now. It's true though.
yeah, he sucks. I mean, they should move on from him already after this year. He's just extremely unimpressive, and the Saints need to get out of this mindset of trying to patchwork QBs in there after Drew Brees and just
Mhm.
draft a guy
Just
for the
get
future.
somebody.
For the
Yeah.
love of God. Even in like the second round, maybe they're a Michael Penix landing spot. Like, I don't know, man. Um, remember this: if Michael Penix gets drafted by the Saints in the second round.
Said it here first.
Yeah, I reported
7:50
by
on
me.
December 14th. Book it.
Reported by Salvaggio and Cratty pod.
Yep.
Michael Penix the Saints if it happens. It didn't happen if he doesn't get drafted.
Mhm.
So by them. Texans 6, Jets 30. CJ Stroud gets hurt. Nico Collins gets hurt after Tank Dell was ruled out for the season recently. Not great. Zach Wilson looked good somehow. So did the Jets defense. A Jets win here is not surprising. A Jets win by 24 points is surprising.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Especially
Like,
after all
they're
the
still
stuff.
the Texans,
Uh-huh.
even with CJ Stroud, they're still the Texans a little bit. They haven't gotten over that hump fully.
Hmm.
But yikes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yikes.
it doesn't impress me all that much, like you said, when Stroud and Collins both get hurt, and like you mentioned, you're already without Tank Dell. So what does the Texans offense really have to compete with at that point? Davis
Davis
Mills and
Mills.
Noah Brown, who I think went
Money
0 for
Mills.
5 this week, like when it comes
Yeah, I
to
think he
catches
did.
and receptions.
Dalton
So
Schultz.
yeah, I don't even know if he played in this game or not.
Beats me.
But yeah, the Texans are banged up. The thing, like you said, that was most impressive is how good Zach Wilson looked too. Obviously, leading up to this game, you didn't even know if he, really wanted to play or not because there was all that talk about them wanting to go back to him and him. Like I said, I think last week the SpongeBob meme of like, I don't really feel like it.
Nah,
I feel like this is what Zach Wilson is. Like, there's
mm,
always one veteran quarterback, and I thought it was going to be Jake Browning that comes in for like a game or two, and it's like, wow, this guy looks awesome. Like, he could maybe be the future. And then, the guy from Minnesota is the prime example of that, who's now the third string quarterback. Joshua Dobbs, like great for a couple of games, and then he just sucks again. This is what Zach Wilson is to me. Like you saw in the Monday night game against the Chiefs a couple months back, looked excellent. Everyone's like, wow, this is maybe what he's finally going to be, and then tailed off again to the point where you're starting, you know, scrubs that shouldn't even be in the league. This is what he's going to be. He'll have a great game this week, and then whoever the Jets play coming up, he'll turn back into crappy old Zach Wilson.
yeah, I am entirely with you. Vikings 3, Raiders
Speaking of the
0.
Vikings,
No,
yeah,
was
nope.
not talking about it. Nope.
Nope.
I thought that was very funny, as
Mm-hmm.
indicated in the outline when I
Good on the
saw
kicker for
that.
the Vikings, whose name I don't even know. Good job. You earned your money in this game.
Do they have
Is
Greg
it Greg
Joseph? I
Joseph
don't
still? I
know.
think it is.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Greg Joseph walk off. Do you even consider that a walk off? I don't even know if you can
No.
in football. Um,
That's
you
just
can in
shuffle off the
baseball for
field, go
sure,
away. Yeah.
but this is not baseball.
Nope.
49ers 28, Seahawks 16. You knew things might be ugly when Christian McCaffrey ran for 1,000 yards on the second play of the game or something.
72 yards right out of the gate.
Yeah,
I was playing him in fantasy. I'm like, why am I getting
he
killed even
gets
worse now?
half of his
72
yards
yards. First carry.
right away. I finished it with 16 for 145. Had one catch for 8 yards. Brock Purdy managed 368 yards on 19 completions, which is impressive. Debo got in the end zone twice. He was money. Brandon Ayuk's very good. George Kittle's very good. It's what you want for the 49ers. It's what they're capable of, and that's frightening. Defense was very good as well, especially Nick Bosa with a sack and a half, and then some. Drew Lock. Maybe there's hope for
Not
Drew
bad.
Lock. A little
Yeah.
bit.
Not bad.
Hope. Hope in air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
But none of us would have been surprised if Drew Lock laid a much bigger stinker. So credit to him for that. The defense was huge, and sure, I think they probably could have dropped 40 points on the Seahawks, but they didn't, and they won. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 49ers are taking care of business.
Yeah, I mean they're the most well-rounded team in football. There's no question about that. Maybe you could argue the Cowboys, but I would still think the 49ers, when you have all these guys healthy, as we're seeing, I think it's going to probably come down to those two guys, Dak and Purdy, as the two MVP favorites, at least for me right now.
Should be McCaffrey and Hill too, but they won't.
It's absolutely, but I mean, I'm not even going to credit position players at this point that aren't quarterbacks because it's just so stupid that they don't even have a chance to win it. It seems like.
And the thing about Hill too is, to add to his candidacy should be we'll talk about it later, how inept the Dolphins looked when he was hurt
I was
briefly on Monday night.
just gonna say what happened in this prior game. Like he looked
Mm-hmm.
like their entire offense on that Monday Night
Mm-hmm.
Football game. But yeah, I mean, yeah, good point because I would put those two guys if I was factoring in running backs and wide receivers definitely 1 and 2. You could really interchange the other two. But yeah, I mean, we say it every week. The 49ers, if they stay healthy, they're going to roll through. They should roll through everybody by at least a touchdown or two because this is, one of the more dominant all around teams in football. And the fact that
They
Debo is
have
playing
the
like Debo from
Debo.
a couple of years ago, like it just makes that lineup and that offense even more scary.
The Cardinals, who they have coming up at the ultimate, like, maybe they do something. Bad team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Cardinals could
Well, they knocked off Dallas earlier in the year. Just remember that
I don't think so.
49ers aren't
It
Dallas,
could
though.
be bad. It
Yeah.
could be real bad. Um, Bills 20, Chiefs 17. This is the complaint fest from the Chiefs. Just an embarrassing showing from the Chiefs. After the game, uh, Patrick Mahomes freaking out about one of the dumbest mistakes ever made by Kadarius Toney, nullifying a pretty cool play. I will say this: I think people gassing up this play as one of the best plays of all time are insane.
Complete morons. It's a
Insane.
cool play. I said
The
to my
most
dad when
overhyped play I've maybe ever seen.
I said to my
It
dad
was
watching this
awesome,
game. It
but
was,
like
and I
people were acting like a meteor fell into the middle of the stadium and dinosaur eggs hatched out of it.
well,
Like,
if you ask Mahomes, this is gonna affect Travis Kelsey's Hall of Fame career. Because like I
oh
tweeted out, when you
God,
think of Travis Kelsey, you're gonna think of
No.
the backwards pass he couldn't complete
Oh,
for his Hall of Fame
no.
career instead of his awesome games and his great catches and performances and Super Bowl wins. No, it's going to be this backwards pass that didn't count. I said it to my dad watching the game. I'm like, I feel like the Chiefs are the only team because I think Kelsey's done this before. I feel like the Chiefs are the only team that tries this, unless you're the Patriots and you throw it to a defender. But yeah, the Chiefs they do these type of things all the time. I get that they can't come out and say that their receiver is a complete moron for doing this, but like you said, the fact that they want to argue that not that the play
Kadarius
was
Toney should
called.
not be on the Chiefs anymore.
He doesn't bring. He has. Somebody else on the radio said it too the other day. He has lost them at least 2 games this year. That week 1 game against the Lions, where we had 4 or 5 drops and had stone hands. And then this one, obviously, the lining up offsides, which again, the Chiefs are just complete idiots. If like again, that I think the argument was that they probably knew the play was offsides, but Mahomes didn't want them to call it. Like, dude, I get you're the Chiefs. Everyone jokes about it. You get special treatment, but the fact that you think that too, like, grow up, man. Like, figure it out.
Yeah, the best part about this too is if this is the win that gets the Bills going,
I
which would
hope
be
it does.
awesome. Which would be awesome because you could always look back on this as part of Mahomes' legacy.
Mhm.
Imagine if the Bills won a Super Bowl. Like
Off of
that
this,
would
yeah.
be that would be awesome. And
My
Josh
favorite
Allen
thing.
didn't really even play that great.
No,
He
he
got
didn't.
in on the ground, threw 1 touchdown. James Cook was a big story in this game. What else was I gonna say? What else was I gonna say? Josh Allen should have said something to Patrick Mahomes after that nonsense.
I was
Like
gonna say
complaining
that
about
was the
call.
funniest thing for me coming from this was his
He,
reaction of
I
being
don't
like,
think
"Dude,
he.
what do you want me to do here?" Like,
I think he
cool.
said. I don't. I think he didn't say anything because he was just so stunned.
I was just gonna say
He
I would
was
have
just
been
like,
shocked. Like, dude, what? Why are you yelling at me? I didn't I didn't throw the flag. Like, I didn't do anything wrong here. What the hell?
It is so pathetic. And I see Chiefs fans on Twitter, some of them trolling, I'm sure. They're saying like this shouldn't like affect how you feel about Patrick Mahomes. Like he's just a passionate guy, like whatever. Like
No, there's difference. There's a
people
difference
people
between
should
passion and.
people should hate Patrick Mahomes now after that bullshit. That was like
I'm just glad the
that
media
was
dragged them all like they did. I figured this was going to be
oh
the same thing of like, oh, Mahomes, he's upset by that call. He's playing with passion. I'm shocked. Everyone pretty much went against him.
and people were like I'm struggling to find the words here because
Comprehend. Yeah.
I'm actually so baffled and not really that people would say this that like people would like not hate on Brady if he did this. Like
Yeah, the comparison was it. I saw that everyone comparing to the Panthers game where he was running off the field yelling at the referee. Two totally different things. Because then if you go back and watch
people
that
would
press
light
conference
Brady
afterwards,
up.
yeah, absolutely. But
It's just I can't
The
believe
thing too,
it's
I real quick
bullshit.
because we really
Chiefs
didn't touch
fans
on Andy
pull.
Reid, which I like Andy Reid as a head coach. I think he's one of the best to ever do it. The fact that he was complaining, his big complaint was, in big games, the referees usually tell me this. I'm sure they do, Andy, in big games, probably like the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. Like those are games where the referee's probably like, we really don't want to have this game decided by an offensive offside. So hey, could you get that guy back a little bit in a week? What was this? 14 week
Mhm.
14 game in the middle of December. They're probably not going to be like, hey, well, watch out that your guy's offside there. Like, and especially too, it wouldn't surprise me if Kadarius Toney at some point earlier in the game did line up offsides, and the referees were probably like, hey, tell 19, whatever his number is, to back up a little bit. And then if they saw it again at the end of the game, the referees, like everyone else, is probably sitting there going, this fucking moron's doing it again. We're going to flag him because he's done it 2 or 3 times this game. Like,
I would simply not line up offsides.
that too. And again, like, you see it pretty much every week. I'm sure you'll see it this week as well. If you line up off, most receivers that have a brain will sit there. You can see it on the TV. We'll sit there. Am I good? Good. Okay, I'm good. Yep, let's go. Kadarius Toney I'll put my entire face over the line of scrimmage and think I'm good to go. Like you said, maybe the dumbest player in the NFL because he is not
The
bringing a whole
dumbest
lot
player
to
in
the
the
table.
NFL. He is, and it's not relatively close. Broncos 24, Chargers 7. The Chargers are awful.
They're only gonna get worse with hockey stick playing quarterback now.
Yeah, hockey stick at quarterback. Yellow Easton synergy if he plays good. I can't think of a bad Easton stick. They just didn't make it back in the day if he sucks. Yellow Easton synergy is the gold standard. Maybe the Z bubble. The Broncos, like they beat the Chargers, so it's not that impressive, but like their turnaround has been impressive since the deadline. Javonte Williams is very consistently good. Um, Cortland Sutton has been good. Jerry Jeudy is not good.
He's
God,
yeah,
I can't believe he sucks. I thought he was a no doubter. Um, Quentin Johnson had a good game, but Justin Herbert gets hurt and is now following surgery out for the year. And Denver's defense wreaked havoc and took care of business. I'm scared of the Broncos if I have to play them in the first round
they're a
of
team you don't want
playoffs.
to play right now. They're doing everything pretty. And I know this was the kiss of death because I said this about the Seahawks earlier in the year, and then they just decided to just crap the bed of late. But the Broncos are doing everything pretty good right now. There really isn't one like glaring weakness on this team because you maybe could argue it was Russell Wilson at the start of the year, or definitely. He's looked pretty good. He's done what he's had to do to win games. We've talked about it before. The stat lines aren't the craziest thing on the planet, but they are efficient, and he's not turning the ball over. And obviously the Denver team as a whole, as you just mentioned, getting production pretty much everywhere in that lineup.
These are stat lines that stink a little more when you lose. But when you're winning, like there's not really a ton to complain about. The Broncos are a team to monitor. A team to monitor in a much different sense is the Eagles right now. They lose 33-13 in primetime Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys, who looked very good again. Dak Prescott very good again, no picks. He wasn't bullshitting when he was talking about under 10 picks. He's lived up to that. Arguably been the best offensive player in the league this year. You can make the case. It's just been awesome. Tony Pollard, I feel like since Thanksgiving, has played a lot better. Rico Dowdle got in the end zone, and the aerial attack was very balanced. The Eagles, Brown 94 yards, Smith 73, just wasn't enough. The Cowboys are just they've shown they have the capability to drop 30 to 40 plus points on you. Any
Yeah.
team.
Yep. Yeah. I
They've
mean,
also, a lot of their wins have come against pretty meh teams, but the Cowboys are undeniably a threat right now.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this was one of their bigger tests too, because obviously we saw what happened when they played the 49ers. They got, I think it was the 49ers, if I remember correctly. They got smoked in that game. It wasn't really ever that close. To do that against the Eagles, like, pretty impressive. I thought they, would have a chance to beat Philadelphia. The fact that they blew them out in this game was never even that close. And the fact that obviously the defense for Dallas played so well, holding Philadelphia to just 23-24 time of possession, 106 rushing yards, and forced 3 fumbles, all of which were lost. Dallas is another team like the 49ers. They can bludgeon you to death with their offense, or they can beat you with their defense pretty good. They'll go toe to toe either way. So that was concerning. The Eagles have been faltering a little bit of late. This was, I feel like, the real eye-opening game. Like, I don't want to say the Eagles are frauds because they're a good team, but they're not as dominant as they were last year, and they've got some things to figure out moving forward.
No, it's just not working. It's a shame, you know.
You hate to
Sucks
see it. Yeah.
for a Philly team to come in
Hate to
second
root
again.
against the Philly team. Yeah.
Be tough. The first thing I thought about when I saw the Titans in the outline, I don't know if you saw the tweet going viral, shitting on Fanatics yet again of the guy who ordered a crew neck for the Ottawa Senators, and on one of the sleeves there's just a Tennessee Titans logo from Fanatics.
I did not see that.
It is real.
It
I
was
will
an
send it to
Ottawa
you for visual
Senators.
proof. I will send it to you for visual proof. It's
How
kind of
do
awesome.
how do you mess that up that bad?
Dude, Fanatics is
Two
known for
different
shit like this.
sports,
They are
not
the
even similar
worst.
sounding teams.
And they have ownership of everything. Michael Rubin just has too much money to care. He wipes his ass with it. Titans 28, Dolphins 27. Live bet the Titans late. I've said it once, I've said it again. The Dolphins are a finesse bitch team. I might lose in the first round.
I don't disagree with you there. You just said it earlier. If Tyreek Hill's banged up or he's getting shut down, what is the Dolphins' offense? Because Tua obviously was not able to pull this game out. Like they have a nice run attack of A-Chain and Mostert. You shut that down. Is Jalen Waddle going to single-handedly beat you? I don't want to say the Dolphins, aren't that good because they're a good football team. But again, like the Eagles, there are some concerns with this team. And to choke as bad as they did, blow a 27-13 lead with just over 4.5 minutes left in the game to Will Levis, who was okay in this game. He played well down the stretch, but I mean, he had one of the funniest interceptions I've ever seen where he basically handed, is it Van Ginkel who picked him off? I can't remember who the lineman was. Not Van Ginkel. Who the hell was the other? Whoever it was. People watched it. They saw it happen. On the 5-yard line, you basically, throw an underhand pick six was kind of funny. But yeah, Dolphins, like the Eagles, they're in a little bit of rough shape right now.
Yes, they are. I wouldn't be super confident if I was a Dolphins fan right now.
That shirt is wild, by the way.
Yeah.
How do you mess that up
Will
that
Levis
bad?
Will Levis still doesn't do a ton for me. I think his getting freaking out was so over the top too. I really don't like the guy. I don't like how he carries himself, but yeah, I mean he's doing shit for Tennessee. Like that's at this point at least something to look
Give
forward
credit where
to for
credit's
the
due there,
Titans.
yeah.
Yeah, like they showed up. Like they're not going to make the playoffs, but there's something there. Maybe he does end up being good, but I'm still not 100% sold. Um, Giants 24, Packers 22 on Monday night. I will leave it to you to start as I plug in my monitor so I can put the football game off to the side.
Yeah, I mean, this was a back and forth one, obviously, by the score. Saquon played really well for the Giants, 20 rushes, 86 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Tommy DeVito was incredibly efficient, obviously taking over that team, taking over that city, organization, fan base, however you want to describe it. 17 to 21, 158 yards, 1 touchdown. No sacks was a big thing because obviously that's been the huge knock on DeVito, was, his time holding onto the football and taking a whole bunch of sacks was good in this game and evading pressure. And just, being smart with the football. 10 rushes for 71 yards as well. So he showed off the legs. Giants defense played one of the better games, the season. 1 pick from Jason Pinnock, 2 sacks, a half sack for Thibodeau, McFadden, Ojulari, and Lawrence. 8 quarterback hits, 6 pass defended, 3 tackles for losses, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. And then kind of the one or the funnier things I was keeping tabs on for fantasy purposes. Jaden Reed had one of the weirder stat lines you'll see for a wide receiver. 4 rushes, 38 yards, and a touchdown. 8 catches, 10 targets, and 27 yards. So kind of a little funny stat line there for Jaden Reed. But your thoughts on the Packers? Up and down of late, a team that was looking like they were going to make a playoff push, still have the chance to do so, obviously. Kind of faltering, though, same thing of late in the game, like we talked about with, was it the Colts earlier? A game that the Packers probably should have been able to win, and they slip up on this one at a maybe costly time.
Yeah, it was the DeVito show. That's my biggest takeaway. And he didn't really blow you away with the stats. Only 158 through the air, but he can run and he runs aggressively. Like he runs with purpose.
He does, yep.
And
he plays like a madman.
QB of the future, right there, Tommy DeVito.
You think so?
Giants fans, there he is. Tommy Cutlets, he's right there. His agent and putting on a clinic of
the agent's something out of I was just gonna say something out of Sopranos.
He's the best. And I saw a clip of him. I think he was on Kay Adams' show. He talks exactly like you
Yeah,
think he
I
would.
heard that this morning.
He's
Like,
the same voice you'd
yep.
picture. He's the best. Tommy DeVito is a great story. Saquon got in the end zone twice and they got it done. Maybe the Giants can try to sneak into the playoffs now. It's not all about draft position.
Oh
So,
God,
good
some of
luck
the
to
team you don't
them.
want to see in the playoffs.
Week 15, we have kickoff starting soon of Chargers and Raiders, which could be horrible.
It
I'm
probably
going with
will
the
be.
Raiders. I trust Aiden O'Connell a little bit more than Easton Stick. And I don't know, man. Like this is a toss up. It's the Raiders. The Chargers haven't given me enough lately, and now with Herbert out to definitively pick them. So I'm really just going with the Raiders because of vibes.
Fair enough. I'm gonna join you. Right when we jumped on, I had a split second thought of putting this as a tie because of that, the Easton Stick possibility or the play that he's gonna play. But the Raiders, like you just got shut out 3-0. You got to bounce back from that somehow, especially now that you're home playing a team that you should beat pretty easily because the Chargers are just decimated at this point. They're not going anywhere. They're not playing for anything. So it's Raiders for me as well.
Yeah, it's actually move my monitor up a little bit so I don't have to look over as far. Vikings and Bengals. Um, can't trust Nick Mullins. Just a fine quarterback, but he's the third string. Um, it's the Bengals. Like there's enough happening here with the Bengals. Is it always going to last? With Jake Browning, I don't know, but there's enough happening with the Bengals. Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase, and they will win some games here down the stretch and maybe make the playoffs. I can't comfortably pick the Vikings.
This will be an interesting game just to see, if Jamar Chase can outduel Justin Jefferson. Because I think I saw on Twitter today that he said he thinks he's the better
He's
receiver of
playing.
the two.
Oh, I thought
So,
you were just saying that.
well, he is. Yes,
Oh,
Jefferson is playing too. I don't know if that was a real tweet I saw. I'm sure it was. But yeah, interesting there that Jamar Chase thinks he's a better receiver than Justin Jefferson. Or if you had to pick the two of them, he'd go with himself. I'm gonna pick the Bengals though. I made this pick when I thought it was Josh Dobbs playing. Gonna stick with it with Nick Mullins because, like you said, neither quarterback has been all that impressive, and the Bengals have been. So I'll stick with them.
yeah, fair enough. I was gonna put some breaking news in, but it's hockey related, so I'll just wait till we get to hockey soon. Broncos and Lions.
Nope,
It's
Steelers and
all
Colts.
well, that's a
I don't
forgettable
blame you
game.
for wanting to skip over
Um,
this game. It's gonna suck. But go ahead.
Colts. No, just if you want me to pick the Steelers, I'm saying no,
I'll pick the
no.
Steelers if they get another quarterback that isn't Mitch Trubisky, but they're not going to do that. So I'm going to go with the Colts.
This is a good bounce back spot for the Colts if they could
Absolutely.
withstand the defense, which I don't know if they can. Broncos and Lions, it's Broncos for what I talked about recently.
Interesting.
I think the wheels are kind of falling off for the Lions a little bit. Not in a catastrophic manner, but this just reeks of a Broncos win for me. Typical type of game. They don't blow you away, but they do enough to win close, and I think they're going to.
I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it's just they're at home. Maybe it's like something I said earlier that with Dan Campbell, the Lions usually bounce back pretty good, are coming off a loss. I'm going to go with the Lions. Broncos, obviously, like you said, are riding pretty high. One of the harder teams, if not the hottest team in football. They got to come back down to earth at some point. I think they have a little bit of a slip up here and make things interesting down the stretch for themselves. So going with the Lions.
Alrighty.
Do
Falcons
it.
Panthers.
Pick
This is
them.
another
Do it.
spot that could be the Panthers, but I'm not
Do
doing
it.
it. I'm not doing it.
Be
I told you I'm
stupid.
not doing it.
Pick the
I'm
Panthers.
I'm not doing it.
Fair enough. Good call. It's the
I
Falcons. The
don't
Panthers
need
suck.
it. I don't need it.
No.
I'm just gonna snap at one
One
point
of
and
these
go,
weeks we're gonna
oh, I
slip up. We're
need
gonna we're gonna
it.
go against the Panthers and they're gonna
Yeah.
prove us wrong. I don't know
Be
who they
so
have left
funny
in
if
their
they won.
schedule, but it'll be funny when it happens.
I mean, they can afford to win. Like they do not have their pick. They're just not good
Absolutely.
enough.
Yeah.
Like, oh
That
God.
should be their
Bear,
motto in the locker room. Like win just not nothing against the Bears here, but like if you're them, like let's win so we can fuck over Chicago. Like
I mean,
just for something to play
The
for.
Patriots have beaten the Panthers in the Super Bowl in the past, so maybe they don't want to help out the Patriots. You know,
That's true too.
maybe there's a long-standing grudge there.
Mm.
Bears and Browns. This game honestly could be fun, which is weird. Because these
Why
teams
did you
are
pick the
not the
Bears?
best, but the Browns find ways to make games interesting. So do the Bears sometimes. But I'm going with the Browns in a close one. The guy, I can see OT here. I can see OT.
Interesting. I'm going to go with the Browns as well. Joe Flacco is playing out of his mind right now. Not to say that Justin Fields has played poorly at all, but Browns defense is better. They've proven that this season. And like I said, Joe Flacco's on a heater, so I'm going to go with him.
All right, fair enough. Good enough. Joe Flacco. Bucks Packers. I'm going with the Packers because I never, ever, ever, ever feel comfortable picking the Bucks.
Nope, Packers need to bounce back. I mean, the Bucks do as well. I can't remember now. I'm starting to all these games are blending together. If they won last week or not, I'll just stick. No, they did win, so they're not going to need to bounce back or anything. But I'm going to stay with the Packers. They need to bounce back, win. Tough loss against the Giants. Their playoff picture is kind of hanging in the balance, as are the Bucks. Obviously, probably needed to win that division to get in. But it's going to be Green Bay all the way. I can't pick the Buccaneers on the road.
Fair enough. Jets Dolphins. I think the Jets could win this game, but there's another team. It's a lot of games. I think one team could win, but I don't feel comfortable enough picking them, so I won't.
Fair enough. I'm going to go with the Dolphins just because they're the better team. And again, Dolphins need to bounce back. They'll do so against the Jets.
Yeah, cool. Saints and Giants. I'm going with Tommy DeVito and the Giants. I love it. I love Tommy DeVito. Yeah,
Bought in
he's
the
like
Paisano.
he's like legit good. Like not like
Not blow
franchise
you away
quarterback
good,
but
but
he's
yeah.
good. Like he's good. You could be in a lot better spot. I don't know.
I'll take him over
He's
Derek
got an
Carr,
aura to him.
and that's what I'm doing in this game. I'm going to take the
Can you
Giants
imagine
on the road.
Can you imagine if their new QB plan is Tommy DeVito sticks and the Giants trade Daniel Jones to the Saints?
Oh God,
Do you,
that'd be
no,
something.
I'm
Poor Saints
I want
fans.
people to know full disclosure that I'm joking about the Tommy DeVito stuff.
Could
But
you imagine if you go from Derek Carr to Daniel Jones? Holy crap! You just pick a new team to root for at that point.
yeah, yikes. Titans and Texans. We have some stipulations here based on CJ Stroud. Don't know what Nico Collins' status is. Do you know?
He's projected 0 points in fantasy. I saw it today, so I got to assume he's not playing. He did not practice today with that calf injury. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
What do you want to do? Does that change your pick at all? No CJ
Texans.
Stroud.
Vice versa. I'm taking the Texans. I will be flipping to the Titans if Stroud is out.
Okay. That is where I am at right now. I am picking the Titans at home.
Vice versa.
Exactly.
Yes. Good enough. Let's not confuse ourselves anymore. Chiefs over the Patriots. 49ers over the Cardinals. No real need for an explanation. We kind of touched on that. Unless you have any other thoughts.
No, I mean, this is the prototypical trap game, but the 49ers, I think, are just so far past trap games and better than trap games that they're not going to play down to their competition, especially not the Cardinals.
Ryan, no.
All right.
Like the Bugs Bunny meme when he's like, no. Yeah. Commanders and Rams. This might be a game where the Rams stomp and put themselves on the map, and I think they will win.
I do too. I'm right there with you. Commanders obviously coming off a bye, so maybe they figured some things out, but the Rams are playing better football. They too are coming off a tough loss, that overtime thriller against the Rams.
Oh my God, the Chargers are already punting.
Are they really? Jeez, it's not good. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Rams, better team. Commanders just kind of playing out the stretch at this point. Maybe the game becomes a shootout with Stafford playing so well and Howell obviously being big on the yardage, stuff like that, but it is the Rams.
Ryan, this game's going to be hilarious, dude. Kick return, fair catch. Someone on the Chargers just bundled the kick returner for the Raiders. This game's going to be awesome in the worst way. Cowboys and Bills. You are a fool for taking the Bills. I am taking the Cowboys.
Am I?
You are.
Cowboys got to
going to win this game.
Cowboys got to come down to earth sometime. And the
Bills are going to win this game.
I mainly picked this because I want to see the Bills get into the playoffs. I don't want to have to watch like the Browns. I know I just talked up Joe Flacco. Like, God forbid the Steelers find a way to sneak in because I think they're still in the hunt. Like, I want the Bills to make the playoffs. The playoffs are better with Josh Allen in Buffalo, potentially going on a run. Cowboys have got to slip up somewhere. They're playing too good. They're feeling themselves too much. Bills need to keep getting these big wins. They got one already against Kansas City in Kansas City. They're going to do it here against the Cowboys and shock the world.
I disagree.
Fair enough.
Ravens and Jaguars. Don't overthink this one. It's the Ravens.
It is. I think it's going to be the Ravens in a rout. Jaguars are not that
Yeah, they
good.
might kill the
Yep.
Jaguars.
Jaguars are not that good.
Ryan, I want to pick the Seahawks, but I can't. It's the Eagles.
Did you know, and this might sway your vote, I saw this on Twitter earlier today or yesterday, the Eagles have not beaten the Seahawks in 15 straight games.
I did
I meant
not
to look
know
it up
that.
to see if it was true, but I'm pretty sure it was on like a verified NFL account. So that is something to keep in mind. The Seahawks have won like 15 straight games against the Eagles.
That is bizarre, and I wouldn't have guessed that.
Neither would I. Is that
But
going
that's
to
it.
sway your vote, though?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm
But
right
that's
there with you.
it for the NFL. We shall move on to the Bruins now. Before we get to Bruins, since there is some somewhat breaking news at this point, we'll talk with our quick NHL notes. First, the mysterious parting of ways between the Wild and their assistant GM Chris O'Hearn. I have not read the article, so I'm not going to speculate. Some people did though that this could be related to some sort of incident, or maybe they just didn't see eye to eye, moved on. Whatever. Chris O'Hearn let go yesterday, and Bill Guerin, the GM of the Minnesota Wild, investigated for alleged abuse per the
Oh,
Athletic.
cool. Nice guy.
Not good.
Nope.
I've known Bill Guerin since he joined to be a fiery guy, a guy that will, not be afraid to wake the team up. Maybe he might have gone too far. And that's
I
pretty
would
big
think
news
so with an abuse accusation.
because this isn't just any team that is dealing with this right now. This is the Minnesota Wild, who are in a very interesting and unique cap situation due to the buyouts of Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. Let me take you on a little cap journey here, Ryan.
Okay.
The Minnesota Wild pay Ryan Suter and Zach Parise to not play for their team, 14.7 million for the next 2 years combined between the
That's a
two.
tad bit ridiculous.
And then for the next 4 seasons and potentially more, I don't know if it cuts off here on Cap Friendly, they pay 1.6 a year. To lose a GM and an assistant GM, potentially a GM too, with Guerin potentially being let go of after if these findings are found to be true, that would be not the most appealing job for a GM to take, to be honest with you. And a team that's
I can't
also
imagine that.
not playing great, even though they play a little bit better, as I'll get to later, since they fired Dean Evison on November 28th. Pretty big story. NHL, a pretty legendary NHL player turned GM in some hot water. So we'll get to the other notes before we get to Bruins. Ryan, I have terrible news. Craig Berube was fired
Oh, you hate to
by
see
the
it.
St. Louis Blues.
Hate to see it.
Sucks. Really sucks. Really sucks. You never want to see anybody get fired. And things are going good though now. Oh wait, no, they're not. Jordan Kyrou was asked about his relationship with Craig Berube, and he said, "I've got no comment. He's not my coach anymore." Sounds like Craig Berube must have been a
That's
good
a
guy.
smart answer, but yeah, that leads
Must have been
to
a good
some
guy.
speculation of tell us how you really feel about the guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it, but oh, Ryan, do we get to the breaking baseball news in the middle of this?
Yeah, we can save it
The
for the
title.
baseball segment
Okay.
because
Okay.
it's not the breaking news that you're talking about being that if people can see it on my camera, Alex Verdugo looks like a thumb now because he's with the Yankees. That breaking news?
A smooth ass face.
Yeah. Ugh.
Sucks. Rip Bozo. The Washington Capitals got in a little turf war about moving to Alexandria, Virginia, trying to save it and do some renovations at Capital One Arena. But the Caps and the Wizards are moving to Alexandria, Virginia in 2028, I believe it was. So I don't think it's super far away from their stadium. I was told by a friend it's 10 minutes away, but still maybe a little inconvenient for some people, but maybe won't be the end of the world. But pretty big news. We'll see what that looks like in 2028. And I feel like a quick story, I'm not going to read the whole thing, that went under the radar is that the new All-Star Skills competition is quite interesting for the NHL, Ryan. I'm not sure
they
if
were
you saw
changing
this.
it. I definitely did not.
There will be an individual competition that is that has a $1 million prize this year. Maybe some inspiration from the in-season tournament, but in the All-Star game form.
Okay, I
No
like
player
that.
got more involved than Connor McDavid. Makes sense. That's a good endorsement. Only 12 skaters will compete for the $1 million prize. The first 8 contestants will be elite players selected from the pool of 44 All-Stars announced on January 4th. Final 4 contestants will be voted for on the competition. Must select the remaining pool of 32 All-Stars. And the 12 contestants then participate in 4 of 6 events, their choice, and gather points towards the whole shebang, as listed in Sportsnet here. Those 6 events mix in traditional features, favorites, with some new skill-based contests, fastest skater, hardest shot, stick handling, one-timers, passing, and accuracy shooting. So
Okay,
pretty cool.
don't hate it. Yeah,
Pretty awesome. Very excited about it. I feel like it might have come out of nowhere a little bit. Don't know what happened behind the scenes, but your thoughts? I think it's awesome.
I like it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie here and say that I tune into the skills competition for the NHL and the All Star game as a whole, year after year. And I feel like this goes for every sport too. Like the All Star games, I feel like they have a niche audience. It's the fans of your sport. And that's pretty much it. So these things, they have to change and adapt. With the times, just to try to get more interest. Like you alluded to, you saw it with the NBA and how good the NBA, in season tournament has come off. How many eyes have been on that. The NHL makes a change similar, like you said, for a cash prize type of thing. I think that'll only help, maybe to get more eyes on it, that maybe more players will be a little bit more invested than they have been in years prior, which is obviously good for the game.
For sure. For sure. Um, Zaboral on waivers yesterday, despite being in Providence. This was to accommodate a potential change of scenery. We know, if you listen to the show, about 2.5 years ago, he did request a trade behind the scenes that never went public. Carolina Hurricanes had interest, didn't want him this time. He has now been on waivers twice and not claimed. I feel bad for Zaboral. Things have
That's
gone
not good. Yeah.
downhill for him since that bad injury he took, I believe, in Nashville about a year and a half ago. And now he's just stuck in the AHL. Just nature of the beast, unfortunately. Um, it sucks. I feel bad for him. I hope they find a change of scenery, but at this point, I think a change of scenery is coming if they decide to go to a mutual contract termination or they send him somewhere like Chicago or San Jose for like future considerations. Because I don't think anybody will be giving up a draft asset for him at
No,
this
probably
rate.
not.
But do I think he can be a capable 7th defenseman or 3rd pairing defenseman? Yes, I think he could be a capable 7th defenseman on the Bruins, but they clearly don't think so, which is okay. But that's the nature of the beast.
That it
Kelly
is.
McAvoy out, Derek Forbert out, and no call out for Zaboral. I think his time has been over and is now officially over.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in the future remains to be seen. Buffalo. Buffalo. Flat effort from the Bruins. They lose 3-1. Fought 17-5-3. Olmark returns or doesn't return to Buffalo. Faces his old team. Makes 32 saves and 35 shots. They get outshot 35-32. Looks like Zamir White is in the end zone for the Raiders. I believe, is that Zamir White? I think he's 35. Yeah, it is. Great goal by Paterka early, just no shot for Olmark. Wires one pass. Connor Clifton in his return got a little tribute. Gets an assist on the Tage Thompson goal. Been a rough year for Clifton there. Has not fit in super well. And the Sabres have been pretty awful. But they got Eric Robinson recently, who's been a nice fit there. That's some size their bottom 6. Marshawn Banks went in off of Eric Johnson, and when that's your offensive highlight, it's a tough game.
That's for sure. Yeah.
And the third goal was the easiest breakout of Victor Olofsson's life. Leads to a 2-on-1. Not a whole lot Lohrei can do unless he pulls, off some magic at the 2-on-1. That's it. Dud. Just a dud of a game for the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Against a bad team, and you hate to see it. But they bounce back against Arizona 2 days later. Back-to-back starts for Olmark. Don't see back-to-back starts too much for the Bruins these days. He bounces back though, 30 saves and 30 shots. Bruins outshot again, 33-29, but they get the win this time. I told Matt, friend of the program, longtime listener, that Pasta was due for a big game, and he did. 3 points for Pasta. Frederick had 2 helpers. Balanced scoring effort across the board otherwise. Great steal behind the net for Pasta's first. Takes down, buries it. Not a type of goal you typically see from Pasta. That was pretty awesome. But, the guy always finds ways to surprise us. And Sean Dursey is going to want to forget this one because I don't know if you saw the turnover to Frederick that led to the Coyle goal, but my God. It was a reverse type play, but a reverse out front. Right to Frederick, right to Coyle. Too easy.
Stupid
Way
games
too
win
easy.
stupid prizes.
Yes. The Shattenkirk goal, which he scored very freely, gave me some hope for the power play. It doesn't help that, last night they were without Pavel Zacha and Charlie McAvoy and things were dysfunctional, but the Bruins power play, understandably with losing 37 and 46, has not quite been as exciting, as explosive, as dangerous. This gave me some hope. Good passing, finds Shattenkirk all alone, has a wide open net, bing, bang, boom.
I was gonna ask really quick. That doesn't scare you at all, though, that the goal scorer on the power play, and maybe again that's just because that's because obviously they're so banged up, and like you said, you're obviously missing 2 huge components of your power play. But the fact that it's Shattenkirk getting the power play goal, to me, does not provide a whole lot of hope. But then again, on the flip side, like I just said, half the team feels like they're banged up right now, so you're going with what you have.
I imagine this is by design, but I see too much on the power play of Pastrnak not in his typical spot. I don't like that.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense why you would take him out of there. Like, it's
really
basically
don't.
your Ovechkin. Like,
he is your Ovechkin, which is ironic because Ovi is slowing down. It's hard to watch. Staple David Pastrnak from that spot when Pavel Zacha and Charlie McAvoy are back. If you want to get this power play going, it's an easy decision. I shouldn't even have to be talking about this. It's kind of crazy. I wonder actually how their power play ranks because if it's higher than I think, I'd be very surprised. Let's see here, power play percentage. This is bad podcasting. The Bruins are like right in the middle of the pack at 22.6. Looks like right around 14. They should be a lot better. I'm sorry. No Bergeron and Krejci, but like Zacha's become a bumper guy. I think Patra can become a bumper guy like Bergeron, not at that level. We know what Marchand can do. McAvoy's the QB. Lindholm can at least move the puck, but he's had a rough year. This power play can be better, and it starts with putting Pastrnak back in his spot all the time.
All the time. Most sense.
Jake DeBrusk on the power play if you need it. JVR, we know what he can do on a power play scenario. Fix it. Like this it needs to get better because the power play is extremely unentertaining to watch. Keller and Carconi battle back. Michael Carconi, one of the stories of the season, a long-time AHLer. Gets called up, earns a consistent spot, and has 13 goals. Pretty spectacular, or had 13 goals. Don't know if he scored since. Tough turnover by Patra on the Carconi goal, just going for body position and just kind of forgot about the puck a little bit. But he quickly redeemed himself with a great battle along the boards, led to an awesome Heinen goal. I can't believe nobody wanted Danton Heinen. It'd be the same thing if he wasn't producing like he is. He's just a good hockey player, and he's good defensively, and he's smart, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I can't believe nobody wanted him for veteran minimum. The Bruins knew, and Monty knew with some Denver familiarity. Cross makes it interesting late, but Pasta with about 5 minutes left scores off a great battle by Geeky. Geeky has been forced to step up a little bit. Has looked pretty solid. Been kind of waiting for that from him. Not necessarily to be elite or anything, but especially in a scenario when he needs to move up the lineup, do a little more, and he's starting to get more and more comfortable in the system, I think. Bruins win 5-3. Any takeaways for you? Did you catch much of this game?
I have not been able to catch a Bruins game. I caught a little bit of the Devils game the other night, but the Buffalo and the Arizona games I have not been able to see, unfortunately.
All right, then. That's okay. The New Jersey game last night was bad.
It was. They said caught the majority of this one. Pretty uninspired. Like, if you said the Buffalo game was uninspired, I'd like to kind of hear your thoughts on this one, because I mean, I tweeted it out, especially the Pasternak effort at the end. Like that was my biggest problem with this game. The effort on the Hughes goal at the end in overtime was maybe some of the worst defensive play I have ever seen. Obviously a guy that is not known for his defense, but that was like a huge lack of effort to stop myself from rambling here.
No, yeah, it was. We'll get to that once we get to that point in the game, but I'm glad you brought it up because
Yep.
it should be talked about more. I haven't really seen it talked about that much. Bruins get outshot for the third game in the last week. That games we've covered here. Looking back, not good. Don't know how long that streak has lasted before then potentially. 2-1 loss in overtime to the Devils. Swayman makes 33 saves and 35 shots. They get outshot 35 to 24. Okay, first period, mainly highlighted by the geeky goal, but not great. Zaka's out. Him and McAvoy are on IR now, which sucks.
Not great. Yep.
Thought it was day to day. I guess not. Yeah. Mercer gets a pop up, bats it in. Not ideal. Swayman couldn't track it and adjust in time. That's okay. Maybe, could have asked for a little more from him there, but I'm not gonna get pissed at him or anything.
Yeah, not harp on it too much.
Yeah. I said at the start of overtime that Jack Hughes is gonna do something, and he did. He is almost on McDavid level of terrifying in overtime. It's not as fast, but he's the way he enters the zone, the way he creates chances is so elite that he is an absolute threat every time he has the puck. Collided with his brother early in the game, gave a bitchy answer to somebody who didn't know he already answered the question earlier. Don't really love his attitude towards the media. I'm not like defending the media. I just think it's kind of, unless not necessarily snarky, sometimes I think it's kind of lame. Sometimes it's funny though. This time it was lame. Don't know if you saw that clip.
It's hit or miss. Did not.
Yeah, pathetic effort by Pasta could have easily disrupted the passing lane from Jesper Bratt. And Jesper Bratt just dusted Hampus Lindholm. He just hasn't been good enough this year. I think the left side of the defense needs to be addressed on the trade market at some point this year. Matt Grzelcyk has been awful since he came back.
Yep.
Mason Lohrei is not NHL ready. He can move the puck. He can do a little bit offensively, but he's not quick enough and he's not good enough defensively. That's okay. He's just
the work in progress for sure.
More North American minutes, not North American minutes, like he's coming over from overseas, but like NHL ice, I should say, AHL ice. But they're kind of in this zone with him where he's 22. Like, they need to get these NHL reps when they have the opportunity, but at the same time, they need to find the balance of the more comfortable AHL minutes he can play. But due to injuries, he's back up. And now Parker Wotherspoon can provide some support. Him and Patrick Brown were called up today. I'd like to see Wotherspoon. I've seen him a few times this year with the Bruins. I like him. He's safe, doesn't, do anything too crazy. Just plays a safe game. I would like to see the left defense addressed as of now. The Devils were just a step ahead of the Bruins like 90% of the night, and I swear Jack Hughes was out for every second of overtime, which makes sense.
Yeah, it did seem like he was out there a lot, but obviously with that short of time, your best player is going to be out there more so than not, and especially if he can end the game as quickly as he did.
Oh, Aiden O'Connell with a dart deep to Trey Tucker. The Raiders are almost 14-0. I'm assuming 14-0.
Not surprising.
Maybe some points in this game, huh? Early 13 points right now. The Islanders and the Rangers coming up. We got going to, why am I forgetting? Nassau. Is it Nassau Coliseum? Did they change the name? I don't know. I'm just saying shit. They're going to the Islanders home arena. The Islanders are 14-7-7, which is such a painfully Islanders record. They're second in the Metro, 35 points. Matthew Barzal has 30 points in 27 games. Noah Dobson has been fantastic as well this year, turning into that pure number one defenseman for them. He's just a monster. He's only going to get better, I think. Like I said, Zaka and McAvoy to IR. Brandon Wotherspoon will feature in this game, I imagine. I think they're overachieving a little bit. And they're kind of OT/shootout merchants right now. But you got to give credit to where it's due. They're 9-1-4 in their last 14 games, and
Pretty
people
good.
weeks ago or like a week and a half ago were chanting for the coach to be fired, which I guess is fair. He's not the best coach, but they're getting wins. Like they're second in the Metro now. I don't think people should really be saying that at this point anymore.
No,
But
God,
I'm
no.
also not an Islanders fan, so to each their own. The Rangers the next day playing a back-to-back against the top two teams in the Metro is not exciting
Not
me.
ideal when half your team's hurt.
No. Things could get ugly. The Rangers this time at home. I was at the game at Madison Square Garden, horrible arena, by the way.
Do
Just
not
gonna
like that place.
reiterate that and piss
Yep.
off some New York people. Overrated. The Rangers are not though. They're 19-7-1, 39 points first in the Metro. Artemi Panarin is playing like a maniac this year. Is 39 points in 27 games. If you're a Bruins fan, you might want to see Igor Shesterkin instead of Jonathan Quick because Jonathan Quick has been better than Igor Shesterkin this year.
That's wild to say.
Yes. I saw a meme that Igor Shesterkin was bald now, like Panarin. I don't know if that was a meme or if that's true, but maybe cutting the hair will fix things. It kind of fixed things a little bit when Joe Burrow got a haircut earlier this year, but
Right.
maybe it'll work for old Igor and net. But I don't know. Right now, I'd rather see him than Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick turning back the clock. The Minnesota Wild, who we talked about earlier, on the 19th. They're 10-12-4, seventh in the Central. Matt Zuccarello, to show things are a little weird, that it's not Kirill Kaprizov leading them in scoring. It's Matt Zuccarello with 28 points in 26 games, the former Ranger. They played better under John Hines, which, I don't think he's a super different coach than Dean Evison, who they fired, but it's working. They're 5-2 since Evison was fired, just 1-2 in their last three, though. Marco Rossi and Brock Faber are reasons to be excited, though. Brock Faber, I saw, is his defensive metrics, if you look into the nerdy stuff, are off the charts this year, which is somewhat to be expected, but maybe not this good for a rookie, but he's fantastic. So is Marco Rossi, the high draft pick in 2020, who's dealt with some health issues and a little bit of, a slow upbringing and a turbulent one at times, but he's become a top of the lineup player for them, which is huge. And worth noting, Jonas Brodin is on long-term IR, so we probably won't see him. He took a very hard hit from behind that went uncalled by Evander Kane and has been hurt ever since. So that's a big loss. Could be something the Bruins could exploit. Ryan, I don't say this very often when I preview a week coming out for the Bruins. I'm not optimistic right now.
I was gonna say, you
I don't feel
worried?
good. I don't feel good. No.
I mean, that just again,
I'm not ready to panic, but I don't feel good.
no,
Straight
I
up.
don't want to keep harping on and like not be say anything other than the same things. But like again, you're dealing with some pretty big injuries right now to some important players, so it's probably not going to be pretty. It's not. I think that factors into why, as you said, they've been outshot so much of late. So you're going to have to get good goaltending, and with no defense out in front, how much can you keep relying on Swayman and Olmark to stand on their head? Obviously, two great goaltenders. Swayman did it last night, but you got to think that's going to run out at some point. It's run out at times, as we've seen this season already. So I'm with you. Like it's a tough schedule coming up. I know Minnesota is, as you said, under 500, but still a pretty decent team. We'll see where we're at in a week or two with this team because the Bruins right now I feel like they're playing probably like what I feel like most people should have expected them to be like not this all otherworldly team like the start they got off to. Like this is coming back down to earth, and it's been a struggle so far.
Yeah. It's good to have adversity, though. They could use some adversity
True.
last
Yep.
year.
Very true.
We'll see what they do at the trade deadline because, as I talked about, once that comes around,
Some
I'm
holes you
looking
could
at left
fill.
defense a little right now, and I'm looking at someone that can add some scoring as well, but it's going to be tough with the cap. We have breaking news in the MLB, Ryan. Multiple.
Yeah, we're gonna start with the smaller of the two. This one happened, I think, right around 20 minutes, half hour ago. It relates directly to the Boston Red Sox, a guy that I'm pretty sure they were either in on or had maybe thrown a feeler out at to try to gauge the interest. Jack Flaherty, former St. Louis Cardinal, traded to the Orioles last year, will not be staying in the American League East. He's heading to the AL Central on a 1-year, $14 million deal with the Detroit Tigers. So go have fun there, Jack Flaherty. Nothing against him personally, but interesting choice of team there. I got to assume the Tigers are probably throwing the most money at him, so he goes and takes a 1-year prove-it deal there. Funny that if the Red Sox were in on him, you've now been outbid by the Tigers and the Royals on 2 pitchers that you were potentially interested in Jack Flaherty and Seth Lugo, who we'll get to a little later. So that's cool.
Yeah.
2 not big market teams are going out and getting some well-known names. The other of the 2 breaking the bigger news, as you were probably alluding to, the Dodgers, if signing the best player in baseball, as we'll get to in a second, was not enough. They also get one of the better pitchers in the American League. They just traded with the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays continuing to just deal away all their best players in the offseason. In the end, it not really matter because I'm sure they'll win 90 games plus again next year. But Tyler Glasnow is a Dodger. It was contingent on him signing an extension. I saw Mark Feinstein a couple minutes ago tweeted out he will sign an extension, because why would you turn down an extension going from the Rays to the Dodgers? That'd be pretty stupid. So he's going to sign that. The Rays get a pitching prospect in Ryan. I think it's Peapot or Poet. I don't know how you say that last name, but a pretty good pitching prospect from the Dodgers and an outfielder by the name of Johnny DeLuca, who I do not know a whole lot about, if I'm being honest. The Dodgers get Tyler Glasnow and Manuel Margot, another name that was predicted to be part of a Glasnow trade or be traded somewhere else this offseason. Rays cut bait with a couple of guys they're probably going to have to pay. Dodgers sure up their rotation. Of course, they get Ohtani just for the bat for this year because of the Tommy John surgery or the surgery he's going into. Glasnow fits nicely into that rotation to go along with Walker Buehler. If he can come back, maybe they sign Clayton Kershaw back. Maybe they still sign Yamamoto, who, of course, they still have cap space because of the Shohei Ohtani contract. But we'll get to that in a second. Your thoughts on either one of these 2 trades, or the one trade and the one signing?
Yeah, I feel like things haven't been super great for Jack Flaherty at times the last
It's been
couple
up or
years.
down.
So whatever. I mean, kind of glad the Sox didn't sign him. Hope they have their sights set on bigger names. But I saw one tweet from Red Sox stats that will who I think is a very smart dude. Like he seemed pretty shocked that, or not shocked, but like he thinks it would be dumb that the Dodgers would trade that Pepowit guy, Pepowit, Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah. I was gonna say Peppa Pig.
Maybe this kid's nasty. I'll trust that guy.
Well, he's going to the Rays, so you can pencil this kid in as Cy Young candidate within 2 or 3 years.
Who's DeLuca?
No idea. Couldn't tell you.
Okay, good.
I'm assuming probably a decent prospect if
Yeah.
Glasnow's the guy getting traded, but I do not know off the top of my head.
Like, how do you feel if you're on the Rays? Like,
about what? Just Glasnow
this trade? Like, did they really need to trade Glasnow?
I said the Rays. I said it. They do the same thing every year. They have either a guy that bats about 300 and hits 30 home runs, or a starter that's a Cy Young candidate if he can stay healthy, and they trade him every year, and it works out. So it's how the Rays operate. We know that. We joke about it, but it works for them. So you can't clown them too much.
Yeah.
The one I don't understand though, like, I mean, obviously the massive extension did not work out with Wander Franco, and that was really the first guy that you looked at and you were like, wow, the Rays are actually going to invest in somebody. The one that makes no sense to me is the talk of trading Randy Arozarena. Like, that guy is the heart and soul and heartbeat of your team. Obviously a huge fan favorite everywhere he goes. Why you would want to deal him and not sign him to an extension, I have no idea. So that's the one I will question the Rays on, but everything else, like, this is how they operate. So it's not too confusing in the end. And Glasnow was a guy that was on the block, I'm pretty sure, last year, or, trade deadline. There was talks about maybe him getting moved. So this was kind of coming down the pipe. And the fact that it's the Dodgers, no surprise. The Dodgers, again, operating like a big market team. They want to win. They want to prove that, they get a real World Series title instead of the Mickey Mouse bubble one. So kudos to the Dodgers for operating like a big market team. They do not care about dealing a couple prospects away.
No, it's awesome. Makes me envious.
Yep. They also don't care. Do you have any other thoughts on these, or should we jump into the transition into the big one? I was going to say they also don't care about shelling out $700 million.
The biggest news for anybody who hasn't heard it.
Yeah, exactly. If you were living under a rock these last couple of days, or if you were still thinking that the Dodgers,
the Raiders scored again.
What do they have? 21-0.
What on earth, Brandon Staley? See ya.
I'm shocked that they haven't.
They at
this point, they're going to ride it. No, they're going to ride it out with him at this point. Like, why would you?
No,
I mean,
dude,
you could.
You could, but you shouldn't. Like, this is like.
Well, that's just how dumb the Chargers are. They will. They could, they should, they won't. They'll keep him to the end of the year. Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, in
Goodness.
case you thought maybe Shohei Ohtani was still on a plane to Toronto to meet with the Blue Jays, he is not. He signed with the Dodgers over the weekend. 10 years, $700 million. That wasn't even the craziest part of the deal. Because at first everyone thought the $70 million in AAV was crazy. Would be paying Ohtani more than 8 Major League Baseball teams this season. This is from Front Office Sports on Twitter. Ohtani set to make more than the Guardians, Marlins, Royals, Brewers, Reds, Pirates, Orioles, and Oakland Athletics, who are just a poverty franchise. We know that. That was crazy. What was even crazier, though, was we found out that Shohei will defer $680 million of that deal and be paid just $2 million over the next 10 years. He'll be paid $68 million per year from 2034 to 2043. The contract ends in 2034. So you're looking at another Bobby Bonilla type of situation there. So you go from Bobby Bonilla Day, which I think ends in 2025, to Shohei Ohtani Day, which will begin in 2028, or 2034, excuse me. And then the other crazy thing from this deal, this came out the other day from Bob Nightingale, was the opt-out clause Shohei Ohtani has in his contract. I don't know if you saw this. He said, quote, Shohei Ohtani can opt out of his $700 million contract with the Dodgers if Mark Walter is no longer the controlling owner or Andrew Friedman, who I believe is the GM, leaves the Dodgers. As the Associated Press first reported, it's called the key man clause used by Joe Madden when he left the Rays in 2014. So Shohei Ohtani just continues to, I don't want to say like break barriers or anything like that, but throw out all these crazy clauses, all these crazy things within his contract, some other stats from it. With the deferrals, the Dodgers now owe him, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman a whopping $852 million combined in deferred money from 2028 to 2044. And the other thing, just if Giants fans aren't scorned enough, the Giants reportedly proposed the same exact deal to Shohei Ohtani, and he decided to pick the Dodgers. So that kind of stinks if you're a Giants fan. They did get a nice little outfielder that we'll get to in a second. But the craziest deal in baseball history, the craziest deal in all of sports. Obviously, there was no shortage of interesting moments from it with all, like we said, the stuff about him going to Toronto, being on a flight there that ended up being false. Your whole thoughts on the situation, the contract, and more.
It
Where to begin?
blew my mind. Like, really did. 700 million is just so
It
absurd.
doesn't seem real. Like that's a contract you throw in like the show just to screw with the game and screw with the system and try to break it. See how much money you can actually pay for a guy, and then obviously you're not able to sign anybody else on your team. But it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, the 852 million is somehow crazier though. Like, to pay that every year to in deferred money is just shouldn't be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so crazy.
Well, that's what's
I mean,
kind of
he's not.
split.
I've heard he's not getting interest on this deferred money either
Oh,
somehow,
really?
which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, didn't look into
Allegedly.
it. Was
Yep.
told that's the case. Don't fact check me.
What are your thoughts
Just
on the deferral
just
stuff? Because
absurd.
this has kind of split some people down the middle of this shouldn't be allowed because it allows teams like the Dodgers now to just go out and sign everybody. If you want to defer money just down the line, it's also let people just, hey, that's the rule. So if they want to do it, kudos on the
Yeah,
Dodgers
it's in the
for,
rules, man.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, you first look at it, you're like, that is kind of, scummy a little bit. Like, now it does lead the Dodgers to operate as like a fantasy baseball team, where they can go out and get a guy like Yamamoto still, or make a trade and extend for Tyler Glass now. But then you come to find out that any team in baseball could have done this. The Yankees could have done this if they wanted to sign Ohtani. The Giants could have. Like I said, the Giants were offered the same exact deal, or offered Ohtani the same deal, and he turned them down. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if no other team was going to catch this and no other team wanted to operate like this, kudos to the Dodgers for finding this little loophole. Again, it stinks that now they can probably just go out and do this and sign whoever they want, but rules are rules. If they're going to bend them a little bit, or get right to the edge and not fall off, then good for them. Again, they're operating like a big market team, and I'm not going to knock them for it.
Excuse me. Yes. It's bizarre, and I'm not gonna be this like doom and gloom guy about it, but I hope this doesn't become a thing.
That's what I'm a little worried about too. Is like you might see.
This
I
would
mean, the best player in
suck
baseball
if
just
every
did
team
it,
is doing
so
this.
yeah.
It would suck. It would get so old so fast to
Mhm.
see. So hopefully guys just aren't getting $7 million deals.
No, I know
Like,
that
I
was.
don't know if this is happening on a 400 million. It might, but which we could see for certain players. But
Mhm.
Odo will get 300. Maybe he does a bunch of deferrals.
Well, that's the thing. Could you
I
imagine the
don't want
Dodgers?
this to be a thing.
Could you imagine they follow through and sign him? Now you have Yamamoto and Otani on your books for $1 billion. Or those two contracts will obviously add up to $1 billion. Like, billion with a B. Absolutely insane. But that's what
Yeah,
I'm
no
kind of
more
curious
words.
too, is if the Glass now trade and extension will take them out of signing or going
Yeah.
after
Mhm.
Yamamoto. Probably not, because again, they're the Dodgers. They don't care at this point. They'll throw
Maybe they'll
money at
just go for
whoever.
Blake Snell instead and throw a bunch of money
Exactly.
at
Then
him.
yeah, they can operate however they want. Bring Kershaw
Yeah, I
back
don't
if you
know,
really
man.
want to. Have him take one more kick at the can. Like,
Bring Cody Bellinger back? Is that possible?
I mean, it's probably possible again with the deferred money, but I don't know if they have a spot for him.
No, but
Probably
like
not.
just in general.
I don't know.
Maybe they go back,
Maybe
bring back the old friend. I'm
just
just saying
get
shit,
everybody
dude.
back.
I
Yeah.
don't fucking know. It's the end of the podcast.
It's fair enough.
Um,
Yeah, but that was kind of the craziest one. And then
yes.
some others from Red Sox related stuff. Of course, the trade went down after we got off the air a day later. So that was nice of the Red Sox. But they acquired Tyler O'Neill, outfielder from the Cardinals. In return, they gave up right-handed pitchers Nick Robertson, who of course came over in the Kike Hernandez deal, and Victor Santos, who I did not know this, but you said he came over from the Phillies. I don't know if you went and fact checked that or if that was correct or not.
No.
Because I did not know that. So maybe right, maybe not. But yeah, your thoughts
Feel
on
like he
O'Neill.
did.
If he did, he did. If he didn't, he didn't. Your thoughts on Tyler O'Neill, if you had to, before I kind of dive into mine a little bit.
Santos is a former Phillies farmhand, the then 21-year-old, the player to be named later. A deal completed in early 21 between the Phillies and the Red Sox to send CJ Chatham to Philadelphia. So
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm trying to think of what other deal they completed other
yeah,
than the
they got
Workman
him.
and Pavetta one.
I thought that might have been where they got him in,
Yeah,
but I guess not. There you have it.
and now he's a Cardinal.
The trade is good. Like I didn't know a ton about Tyler O'Neill, but I've heard a lot of things I like a Duvall, Hunter Renfroe type. And the guy is fucking
Just
ripped.
big
Like
motherfucker. Yeah.
just a muscle hamster, which I like. I like guys that can hit home runs. So I'm cool with this. I think
Mm-hmm.
there was a need for it. Like I've told you, I think the whole like
Lefty righty
handedness
thing. Yep.
for batters that when you're looking at them as their outfield position is goofy, but I guess it's not. And they got their right-handed guy,
Mm-hmm.
so I like people that hit home runs. So that's about it. The
Yeah, I
guy is
mean,
not like a sure thing, but um, Hunter Renfroe was good, but he wasn't like gonna be a slam dunk guaranteed. Neither was
mm-hmm.
Adam Duvall. Like these are guys that aren't
No,
amazing
those are
average hitters and they hit home runs.
yeah, those are two. If you want to give Heim Bloom a pat on the back, those are two of the moves I think you can do that for. Obviously not here anymore. So this is a full Craig Breslow type of move, but I like it for a couple of reasons. I think we talked about when it happened off air. For starters, I think his all around skill set from a speed standpoint, a power standpoint, is better than probably anything you were going to get on the market if he is healthy. Again, it's a Red Sox trade, so that's a big if. But I think he's a better option than Teoscar Hernandez. More speed there, better defensive player. We all know how I thought.
Really? You
Yeah,
think he would be a better pickup than Hernandez?
Tyler O'Neill's I think 2-time Gold Glove winner.
I know,
So
but it doesn't feel like Teoscar is the better hitter,
I
right?
mean, he's the more known commodity because Hernandez has stayed healthy. And you know what you can get in him. But I mean, if you get Tyler O'Neill again, you're going back 2 or 3 years now to 2021. O'Neill hit 34 homers, drove in 80, stole 15 bags, and hit 286. Had an OPS of 912. So pretty solid player there. I think he won a Gold Glove that year, or maybe it was the year after.
Yeah, the Gold Glove is big.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Gold
he finished.
Gloves.
Yeah, back-to-back Gold Gloves, 2021 and 2020. Finished 8th in the MVP voting in 2021. So again, a guy with a ton of skill set, a ton of ability. But again, there is that health concern. He's cheaper too than anybody you were going to get on the market because you would obviously have to pay those guys market value. O'Neill has one more year left of arbitration, so you kind of pay him what you want or what you can come to an agreement on. So he's in that sense also a cheaper option than Verdugo would have been. Can play all three outfield positions, so it gives you a good platoon option. Whether you want to move, him into right field for Abreu, into center field for Duran. I've seen some people say maybe you can put him in left field and that moves Yoshida to DH. which is a better defensive option. Obviously, gives you more speed in the outfield, can cover more ground if you want to move some guys around. So that's good there. Like I said, you have a guy that has 30+ homer, 280+ potential on the average. And the big thing too, when you always look at trades, is you practically gave up nothing to get him. Like I said it when it happened, you basically turned Kike Hernandez into Tyler O'Neill. Not going to complain about that. Like Robertson was a guy that Red Sox are running out of 40-man roster spots with all these kind of minor moves they're making, getting the Cooper Criswells and the who's the catcher they just signed, Roberto Perez's of the world, that we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on because they're not big moves. But Robertson, was okay down the stretch. It wasn't anything special or spectacular. And Victor Santos, a guy that we had to look up to see who he was. So nothing against him, but you got a pretty good player if he's healthy, a guy that fits Fenway Park very well with the monster and his type of swing, big pull hitter. And like you said, kind of has been looked at as a Hunter Renfroe, Adam Duvall type of player. Both those guys worked out well here, so I'm not going to complain too much about a pretty surprising trade when it broke on Friday.
Let's go.
2 thumbs up for you.
Yes.
Were you one of the people I saw on Twitter that were upset that they did not get Seth Lugo, a guy we talked about a little bit? He ends up signing with the Royals for 3 years, $45 million.
No.
Were you surprised that the Red Sox in the end were one of the top 4 bidders for Seth Lugo? The interest kings were back at it again.
No.
Okay. I'm not mad that they didn't get him because, again, this is a guy that there's better options still out there. I think when we talked about him, I said, I wouldn't mind him if he's like your number 4, number 5 option. I am mad that a team like the Kansas City Royals were able to outbid you for him. Because if the Red Sox really wanted this guy, you should have been able, I don't want them to overpay for him, but, you're going to have to pay for pitching. So if you're the Red Sox, you would go out and do that deal. But the fact that, again, the Royals beat you for him, if you were ever in on Jack Flaherty, I don't know. But the fact that he ends up choosing the Tigers kind of worries me a little bit here. Like, I don't know if the Red Sox aren't overextending themselves for these type of guys. I think the rumor on this deal for Lugo was that the Red Sox did not want to go to a 3rd year like the Kansas City Royals did. So right then and there, you could maybe say they were lowballing him. Again, if you really wanted the guy, you probably should have paid for him. This is not me speaking. This is speaking of the Red Sox if they wanted him. So a little concerning there that if you're not going to extend yourself for Seth Lugo, what is your target that you're really going after? And the fact, again, that he chose the Royals is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's just... Fine, you can tell we'll get to the end of the podcast. It's entirely unsurprising. I can't act like I'm mad about it.
No, that's just what I mean too.
Kind of just, I don't even know the word. It's just, come to be expected.
Exactly.
I want to know how you feel. We're talking about Yamamoto a lot and Imanaga, who the Red Sox are heavily involved on. They're in the mix on Yamamoto. Lucas Giolito is the guy. If that's the case,
if you miss out on both those guys, then sure.
Heyman seems to think. I think it was Heyman seems to think that Giolito is going to be a Red Sox.
Well, Heyman also
thought Giolito and Imanaga, then we're talking a little bit. But
I guess, yeah. I was going to say
Giolito is not enough, right?
No, not even close. Nope. Okay. I was going to say Heyman also thought Shohei Ohtani was on the flight to Toronto, and I can't remember if it was him that tweeted out. I think so.
That was Morosi, wasn't it?
It was, but I think they all kind of piled up on that. And then it's bad when Bob Nightingale is a guy being like, guys, we have to report with some sort of
the Robert Herjavec conspiracy too. Yep. Freaking Shark Tank. Shark Tank is involved. Robert Herjavec is involved. Mark Cuban might be gearing up to run for president. He's selling his stake in the Mavericks and stuff. Yep. What's going on with Shark Tank? Is Mr. Wonderful next? What about Barbara Corcoran? What about Damon John and Lori?
Didn't think we'd have Shark Tank conspiracy theories. Yes.
Wow, I just rattled off the whole list.
You did. Go. Good job.
I love Barbara Corcoran. Just big fan of hers, by the way. She's my favorite person on the show.
On Shark Tank? Okay.
Yes, love Barbara Corcoran.
All right. Back to baseball, though, because like you said, there was some Yoshinobu Yamamoto stuff from Mark Feinsand related to the Red Sox. He said Yamamoto, who has already met with the Yankees, Mets, and Giants, will meet with the Red Sox in the upcoming days, per source. 2 or 3 more teams, including Blue Jays, will also likely meet with him, sources say. I feel like you can also put the Phillies on that list, who I believe he met with today. So that should scare you, too, that Dave Dombrowski has now... What's up?
Since when? I didn't see this.
Yeah, I saw that when I got out of work tonight, that he was either meeting today or tomorrow with the Phillies. So like I said, the fact that Dave Dombrowski has entered the chat should scare the hell out of you. Yeah, it's very frightening because he, again, another guy that just does not care about money, which is good if you're a big market team and you make the playoffs like the Phillies do. They obviously want to improve that team. The other tweet from Mark Vincent, too, was the Cubs and the Red Sox are also expected to take their shot at Yamamoto, though neither is likely to get involved in a bidding war if the Yankees and Mets try to one-up each other, as many expect. My big takeaway from this, you can get all the rumors you want that the Red Sox are in on Yamamoto, that they're meeting with them, whatever. My problem is if you're not going to extend yourself for this guy who I talked about last week as, a free agent type of unicorn, I think as Lou Merlone had him, 25 years old, top of the line starter. Starters don't reach their free agency until like they're 29, 30. So you're not going to, you have those years to worry about. If you're not going to extend yourself for that type of guy, they're never going to sign anybody of, big stature, anything like that. They're never going to operate like a big market team again.
See,
if there's a guy real quick,
but go ahead.
If there's a guy that you should be getting into a bidding war with the Yankees and the Mets, it is this guy. With how badly you need pitching and how just depleted you are at that position, and how badly you just need to make a giant splash. Like obviously you weren't gonna sign Ohtani. Like I'm not mad they didn't go after him. The timing just wasn't right. The guy can't pitch, so you weren't gonna sign him. You weren't gonna trade for Juan Soto. Like you were not gonna give up the prospects with how much the Red Sox hoard them. Maybe you have a chance to sign him in the offseason if he doesn't, up himself with the Yankees or if he wants to hit the market.
That is the chance.
Yeah, that's the chance you have there. This is the guy in Yamamoto you have to go after now, and you have to go after him big because you have nothing else.
Yeah, I'm in the camp that they're not going to get Yamamoto and they're going to go really hard after Imanaga because he's going to cost less.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. Again, like he's not I want them to sign a top of the line starter, but I'm starting to feel like you feel. They're not going to do that. They're going to try to plug this.
I don't feel good about Montgomery right now either. Now there's reports that he might get 160 million. I'm good on that. If that's the case, I don't want him for 160 million.
I'd still do that. You have to pay for pitching. You have to pay for pitching.
For a 30-year-old, nope. No thanks.
Fair.
No thanks.
That is the other side of the coin. Yep.
I'm not good with that
different
risk.
argument there.
Don't need that when you get Imanaga, who's like 27
late 20s,
max?
I think he's 28, 29, maybe.
Shota Imanaga. Oh, he's 30. Never mind. What? I thought he was younger. Okay, different.
So you're signing no pitching in this offseason. Okay. You're out on everyone. But that's my point. Is all these big pitchers.
See, is Imanaga gonna get 160 though?
I don't know. See, I haven't seen anything on what his
that's
projected money is. So
like, what if Roki Sasaki gets posted? It doesn't sound like he will, but that kid is.
He's another guy
that kid's preposterous.
Blank check.
That kid is, oh my. That kid is huge.
Well, that's what I joked. If you don't sign Yamamoto, you push hard to try to. I don't think he's going to get posted. But
he's 22.
You push hard to get that kid for like 12 years. And
nicknamed the monster of the Reiwa era.
He throws
like a Japanese professional baseball pitcher for the Chiba Lotte Marines.
He's disgusting.
I've seen clips of him.
Just wait till he gets posted. That contract's going to be massive.
He might get 700 million.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. But he's
300 plus
maybe
at least.
500.
Yeah.
I don't know. This kid seems preposterous.
Well, that's what everyone's waiting on too. You're waiting on to see what Yamamoto gets. It's going to be in the 300 range. And again, if the Red Sox don't want to go to that,
if he's getting 300, Sasaki's getting at least 4.
Yeah, because you got to think he gets posted when he's probably, I don't know what the rule is, if there is one, or what the whole deal is there. But you got to think if Yamamoto's getting posted at 25,
I wonder what the youngest a Japanese stud player has ever been posted at.
I feel like Yamamoto's probably got to be pretty close to 25. I feel like a lot of these guys come out when they're.
How old was Daisuke? Do you know?
That's what I was trying to wonder and figure out. I don't think Daisuke was that young though. I feel like a lot, same thing like Tanaka. I don't know what he was. I think a lot of these guys are in their late 20s when they get posted. I want to say Daisuke was 28, but I might be wrong. I don't know. We can look that up. But yeah, I mean, that's just my whole spiel on Yamamoto is this is a guy that you should be throwing the bag at and should be getting into bidding wars for. And if you're not going to do that, then you're never going to operate like a big market team. You can try to patch things with all these, number 3s and number 2s and 3s that you're trying to sign.
So Daisuke was 26 in his first year with the Sox. So maybe he signed when he was 25 and turned 26, or he was 26 the whole
time. Okay. I didn't think he was that young when he signed here.
I forgot he went 18-3 his second year.
Mm-hmm. And then it just all fell off after that. God, it was brutal.
That year was fun. I'm getting memories of it now.
Yep.
We did have another Japanese player. The KBO MVP, Jung Hoo Lee,
Yeah, I
who
think
is 24.
if I remember correctly, this was the younger. I don't know if I want to say better because Yoshida was pretty good over there. Um, but I think the comp a lot of people have talked about is this is another Masataka Yoshida with maybe a little bit of a better skill set, obviously younger, some more speed, a little bit more speed, probably better defensive ability. Kudos to the Giants. I know I just kind of I don't want to dump on them earlier when they said they
Had to
missed out
get
on
someone.
Otani. But the fact that they were able to actually get a big name guy, and this one was surprising to me too, because this is a guy I knew that obviously got posted, but you really didn't hear a whole lot about his market, and then it kind of just dropped out of
No,
nowhere
nothing.
that the Giants signed him. So good for them. They get a nice bat for the middle of their lineup, a guy that should play pretty well.
Maybe
If
they
he
got him because nobody else knew he was available because there's no
maybe
news
yeah,
about
the
it.
Giants finally snuck in and stole somebody out from under their noses like that's happened to them the last couple of years, or last offseason in itself. But yeah, I mean this kid, I don't know if you saw the video of him, the bat flip he had over in playing for the KBO. He's a guy like not to knock Japanese players, but I feel like when you think of like Japanese players, they don't tend to show a lot of emotion, or Korean players. They're kind of like mild mannered, not a lot of bat flips or bat tosses. This kid looks like the complete opposite. So I'm hoping he becomes a star over here and he's spiking bats. It might have been Carabas that said he's or somebody I saw on Twitter said he's the 2.0 of Reese Hoskins, I think it was, with the bat spike. So that was maybe a cool thing coming over for the Giants fans to keep an eye on.
All right. There we have it.
Yep.
Right, I'm gassed. I don't know about you.
Getting there.
We are looking to have one more show for the holiday next week.
That will be the
Um,
Christmas movie one, like I
that will be
texted
the
you
Christmas
today. Don't know
movies.
why sitting at my desk at work that just popped into my mind, but randomly I was like, do I have to prepare for Christmas movies tonight or are we doing that next week?
Yes, when I said that, it was just spur of the moment last week. Didn't even think of a show after this one before Christmas. Didn't think that far ahead. But thank you so much for listening. Find us wherever you find your podcasts. You can find us on the Full Press Coverage Twitch and YouTube channels, Full Press Coverage app as well. You can rate and review on Spotify and Apple. Excuse me as I look at my schedule, trying to see if it overhits for me. My schedule, my Apple Watch. I don't know why the fuck I said schedule. My brain melts at the end of the podcast a little bit. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio, and the show at Salvaggio and Cratty Pod. We're also on TikTok, even though we don't post. Sometimes we do, though. If you want to keep track of that, go ahead. Maybe we'll post soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, be nice people. It's the holiday season. Drive safe as well. You know, things get a little crazy. People drink a little too much. Be safe out there. And we'll talk to you next week. Christmas movie drafts and much more. We'll talk to you then.